There are two types of business owners, those who are busy and those who want to be busy. Toast is designed for both, with tools to keep you humming and help turn grind into growth. That's how you turn busy into business. Toast, built for busy.
Rebuild Iran while we are continuing to carry the bill for it.
So what is the alternative then to ending the war?
Well, the alternative is not having a president that led us into this war, that surrendered all of our leverage, that is giving Iran everything they want and achieving none of the specific goals that he said he wanted. We have a disaster for a commander-in-chief who's leaving us with less and less good choices.
Boy, imagine waking up to that guy. Hey, it's Kevin Miller in the morning, 580 KIDO. Thank you all for joining us. Do want to thank all the Walmarts and Swire Coca-Cola and everyone else that joined us this weekend at our Walmart Roadshow. It was wonderful to see so many of you, and it was so inspiring to hear what you had to say about this great program. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We really don't deserve those comments, but thank you. Even to the gentleman, I was walking out of church yesterday, and he goes, Kevin, hey. And I go, hey, he goes, I saw you at Walmart yesterday. And I'm usually a little, I don't want to say hazy after church, but I don't know if this happened to you as you get older, but I find myself talking to myself a lot. I know we say the voices in our head, but I'm always going, okay, I've got to go do this and this and this and this. And sometimes you forget something. And then, so to that gentleman, hopefully he's great. To the couple I met at Albertsons after the Walmart tour. Yes, and Mrs. Miller has a shopping list. So, you got to get this here, that there. Got to get the priorities. Got to take care of that. And so I'm in the Albertsons, ran into a couple from Horseshoe Bend, have a brand new Subaru Forester, and they really like it. So it was lovely to meet them and to run into them a couple times at the Star Albertsons. So what a wonderful weekend, and we're going to make it even more wonderful. I know Bo is very sad about this. Sweet William is very happy about it. This is our last week of Boise Music Festival ticket giveaways. And I have to say that sometimes I feel like Donald Trump in the Iran war, that I have to say that I'm not as enthusiastic about my talk to Kevin. I think we've made it real easy for you to win tickets. I know there are a lot of people that they like to call in and they go, I hear about it. I was caller 9. And they go, I swear Bo doesn't like me. No, we have no interest in this. What we're trying to do is get you there to the show. So what we're going to do, we might give you the cue to call. It depends. We may give you the cue to call, but we may not. But what we are going to do is between now and, 7 o'clock, if you call in and you have a nice conversation with me and you know what you have to say, 580 KIDO, not 580, not 107.5 FM, not the KIDO Talk Radio app. Could you imagine that? KIDO Talk Radio app, KIDO Talk Radio app. No, it wouldn't work. But if you can do that, I'd say a minimum of 5 times, but we'd like it as many as possible in 10 seconds. We're going to give you tickets to the music festival. And it's really odd because every day we continue to be ambassadors and evangelists for radio in our own secular way. And people come up and they go, I'd like some tickets. Okay, what do you listen to? What's that? The radio? The radio. And I'm going, oh my goodness. Let me tell you about KIDO Talk Radio. And then I really love when they go, KIDO. Yeah. And I go, yeah, we talk to kids. Hi, kids. You can tell I've had some good coffee this morning. I thought we would start off with a couple of things at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. There was a very contentious Idaho Republican Party meeting. And Dorothy Moon, as I predicted, and Vicky Purdy reelected. Now, I don't agree with Dorothy Moon being reelected, but they voted on that. That signals to us that we will move more from politics in the state at a party level, more to covering national issues. And again, you take a look at when someone builds that type of popularity and infrastructure, it would be tough to get rid of them. And we're just going to be class acts and say congratulations to Tea Party Bob. That is the direction the party will go in. We acknowledge that. We will let them have their own official media outlets, and we'll move on from there. But it was very contentious, especially when you had the treasurer who said that he was not going to run if the chairperson was reelected, and then the chairperson was reelected. And talk about fundraising and everything else. The truly issue is, and I don't know if we're Switzerland or what, but I don't think we are, because we have opinions. So the establishment, they get uncomfortable with us, and the grassroots, we fail the purity test. At least Mike Moyle likes us, but and then some people don't like Mike Moyle. But the key thing here is that you have, and I saw brilliant men struggle with this. I saw Steve Yates, who actually was the vice president's top aide on national security on September 11th. Steve Yates. I saw Mr. Yates struggle with pulling people together. And Mr. Yates is a great dude. He's friends with Buck Sexton. And I can remember watching that job chew up person after person. Tom Luna wasn't good enough. Raul Labrador, he did it for a year, and then he was out. He went back to running for office. Others, Jonathan Parker, so many other people. Barry Peterson. And I can remember talking to Steve Yates, and I always love achievers and the sacrifice they have to make. So Steve Yates is driving. First of all, he had like a Dodge Challenger or Charger, and then I think he switched it to a Jeep because he said, I've gone through my post-midlife crisis, Kevin Miller. And he was talking sometime about his frustration about certain politicians not giving to the state party. And he said it to some guy, and this guy recorded him and then put it on social media. And poor Steve Yates had to apologize to people. And it's Idaho. They accepted the apology. But it was wild, man. It was crazy. It was pretty darn toxic. And then when Steve Yates lost to Janice McGeehan in that four-way roll, I go, man, if he had only advertised on radio. And now Steve Yates is working for the Heritage Foundation on Fox News, Fox Business, and the Idaho Republican Party is still at odds. I mean, it's the party really of people that have come from California and they have their in-your-face isms, and then you've got Jim Guthrie. So good luck, everybody. We'll move on. It's funny, taking a look at some of the headlines here from our tracker. We've got the Nampa new mayor. He wants to hear from residents over coffee. Meridian's next coffee with the mayor takes place this Thursday. I hope that you can go to these things, and especially when you're talking about the mayor of Meridian. And I spent a lot of time in Meridian this weekend. It's fascinating to see when you go to a Walmart. When you go to a Walmart, you see every ounce of Americana. And I guess I'm going to start with a story that says most people say, don't cover this, Kevin Miller. And you have an incident in Caldwell involving a gay couple, I believe. And apparently these people were not treated very nicely. The police were called. The Idaho statesman, the almighty Idaho statesman says, well, we need hate crime legislation. We need we need a problem here. So apparently the gay couple, they're recovering after an attack in Caldwell. And if you talk to the gay people, the gays as we like to call them, they will tell you that, Idaho is intolerant. I'm going, well, have you been to the city of Boise? Have you been to, with the Rainbow Bridge and everything else? But apparently, two gay men are recovering after they were attacked in Caldwell Saturday night. A Caldwell man was arrested for misdemeanor battery. So apparently, this was at Indian Creek Plaza. Let's see. The two men, Eric Reed and Juan Alervia, said they were leaving Acapulco, a nearby restaurant, when multiple men repeatedly yelled homophobic slurs towards the men. They said they were chased through the parking lot and assaulted by one of them where the road tracks meet on 9th Street. I literally thought I was going to die. Let's see. I don't even know how to explain the fear. I have the right now. We haven't left the house for the past few days. And then it goes on and on and on. So this guy, Pedro, why can't they say Tim Smith or something with these names? Anyway, Pedro Villalobera III of Caldwell was charged with misdemeanor battery. 55-year-old man. Reed needed 6 stitches to his lip. Oliveira had bruises and cuts. They've been together 15 years and never gone through anything like this. Well, Caldwell, it's an issue. And Caldwell police said Idaho law did not allow a hate crime charge. No, there is no hate crime law in Idaho. And I believe there is one in Boise. We've debated this issue for a while. We've talked about this issue. So what does it have to do with Kevin Miller? So I'm sitting there in Meridian, and you have people that are coming into Meridian from a lot of countries. Like, it's a very multi-naturalistic place now, especially I was really surprised at how the United Nations looked like the United Nations at some of the Walmarts. We had people in their like traditional dress. And I'm not talking about South America. I'm talking about more of the other countries, lower, if you will, the African countries or what have you. And, some people were friendly. Some people weren't. Some people were just staring at me going, you better not be talking to the kids. I go, it's KIDO radio. And we all can look and laugh at each other. And you had some people dressed in their traditional Islamic dress, which is a shock to a lot of people. But people were tolerant. People didn't discriminate. People didn't call people names. And then I'm at another place, and I see this for the first time in a while. And if you go to the rodeo, you'll see this occasionally, where you'll have 2 women that are out, and they feel it's their outing duty to hold hands in public. And they'll do this at the rodeo, primarily young females. One time I was at midnight mass, and I had a lesbian couple behind me, which was very interesting on a lot of levels. Anyway, I'm sitting there, and look at these 2 good-looking guys. Oh, I mean, I guess they're good-looking. They're in shape, and they've got their family, and they're, like, obviously husband and husband holding hands. And you could tell they're, like, looking around. And I go, wow, they're making a statement. No, I'm not going to have a hot dog because I'm fasting, but they're making a statement. And nobody bothered them, and nobody did this. But obviously they felt the need to do this. Now, the Idaho Statesman, and I know this might be a little early for this, but the Idaho Statesman is saying we need hate crime legislation. Years ago at 580 KIDO, when we had this flamethrower guy named Thomas Munns, before he actually got some sanity and said, I'm getting too much of a high blood pressure by listening to you, Kevin Miller. We were debating this issue because Boise had this whole idea that they were going to have hate crime legislation. And they were going to, then it was going to go to the state level. And the state needed to do this. So we had Mike Masterson before he ran for mayor, before he retired, before he committed his life to helping veterans and skiing and being a great granddad. Who, again, what I love about Mike Masterson, the former chief, is he did not like my political views at all. He didn't like our political views. And really, I don't want to say that would be Rush Limbaugh, the great one. It would be our political views. But Mike Masterson would come on, and what are you doing now, Kevin? I don't know, sir. What are you doing now? Well, I'm the police chief. Well, I'm just some slap, but yeah. So we were talking about this, and Mike Masterson and others, testified, and they did a hate crime audit of the entire state. How many hate crimes in Idaho? This was post Matthew Shepard. But people were talking about, I'm persecuted, I'm this, I'm that. I think there were 3. 3 too many, but 3. And really, is assault and battery any different if there's a movement behind it? How many conservatives have been assaulted, and do they ever call that a hate crime? But that's the big movement. Let's see. Here we have this. It's frustrating. We're here to serve the citizens of Caldwell and Idaho, and unfortunately, when we're unable to give them justice that they feel they need under the application of law, it's frustrating, according to Lieutenant Jeffrey Peterson of the Caldwell Police Department. That's his opinion. And I guess he's entitled to it. There is not going to be a movement because the Democrats have been neutered in the House and the Senate. There's not going to be any type of movement on that. Let's see, we have the mayor of Caldwell. So this is why Idaho is not a hate-filled state. This in San Bernardino, Santa Monica, San Sebisco, wherever, New Mexico, wherever. I'm trying to come up with states. It's a little early. This wouldn't even make the news because it happens all the time, or it happens more frequently. In Idaho, because we live in such a great place, not a lot going on. So when this happens, you have people running it up the banner. Here we have the mayor commenting on this, who's, being sued by the police chief. This shows you that people take this stuff seriously. And it's very easy to paint with a broad brush that, well, Idaho is, and look, I have a lot of people in the gay community. In fact, we have one of the drag queens listens to this program. I don't know why. Maybe they find it entertaining. Maybe they find Al attractive. I don't know. But at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I look at that and I go, it's pretty wild. And so, do we have differences? Yes. Would we like to be able to discuss them? Yes. But please don't bag on the state. Please don't bag on the state. And a couple things going on. And this is an issue that hasn't been handled nationally, which gives Idaho a great opportunity. And you can tell two types of people here in our great state. One of these people, the first group, I like that, one of these people. The first group, they're looking at this state to launch them to a national platform. The second group I'll tell you about in a minute. Kevin Miller, 580-KIDO. Going on. This is nuts. Now, you start a shooting spree in Idaho, people are going to return fire. By the way, our Weather Watcher shout-out today goes to Greg Ferreira of Real Estate Rescue Idaho, sharing some beautiful photos today. You can see those nowhere because we're audio. Now, you can't get the program on YouTube, Schmootube, Google Schmoogle, the free KIDO Talk Radio app. And when you, what do they call that, subscribe, you get 2 articles from me, usually every day. And you get the podcast. So if somebody says, yeah, that Kevin Miller said, da-da-da-da-da, you can check it for yourself. 2 types of people in Idaho, I think politically, and definitely media-wise. The second one is rarer than the first. The first type of people in Idaho would be exemplified by 2 people that have gone to Washington. And I don't think that Alex Adams was really looking to go to D.C., but we're very proud of him in the Trump administration. Did a passionate, and really his work is what got him the gig, I believe. But you have other people, Holly Woodings, who I think she got a job, or her husband got a job at D.C., and she, the former Boise City Councilwoman that could have challenged the mayor, could have, would have, should have, didn't. Very gifted, very charismatic, very cosmetically appealing. I mean, if we could say that about men with the roofer, and what a great spot, the mom talking about her kids being good looking. We could talk about, people being good looking, right? By the way, great commercial for that very local roofing company. It's very important to go with local. I digress. So you have people that get plucked out of here or that position themselves to go somewhere, to go to the big time. And I understand that craving to go to Washington, D.C., that craving to be somebody. And you have people that are very happy and very shrewdly want to be something here. You can make a lot of money here if you're in the right club, and you can work your way into the right club by, community service and all sorts of things. It's not very exclusive. I go back to our friend Phil Hardy, who came here with his beautiful family, and Phil didn't know anybody. Phil worked with Guns N' Roses. Now, that's not going to translate to Brad Little. Phil worked with Kip Winger, and the NBA Europe had a great life, and for some reason, we're blessed that he did this, because I'm very proud of him, moved to Idaho. And he started, like a lot of people do, volunteering and then getting paid and working his way through politics. And he got on the Labrador Rocket in 2009, 2010. And from there, went to work for himself, at what is it, Strategies 360. I don't even know if that lobbying firm is still around. And from there, went to D.C. because they needed people to talk to the Trump language. And Phil doing very well, and we had him on talking about fighting fires and all sorts of things. Great dude, wonderful dude, outstanding dude. And I don't know if Phil was ever looking to leave, but that happened to him. But you have other people, politicians, that are angling to go to, and it's great to be on national TV. It's great to be somebody, if you will, or national streaming, I guess they call it. And they position themselves to get to the big next level. Kevin Miller did that. Huntsville wasn't good enough for Kevin Miller. He was bred to go to a bigger market. He went to Birmingham, significantly bigger, but he wasn't happy in Birmingham, and they weren't happy with him. So he went to Raleigh, an incredible lifetime destination place. But he had this dream, Kevin Miller, I'm speaking myself in the third person for entertainment purposes only, had a dream that he wanted to go work in Nashville, worked 9 years to get there with the evil mutant John Mounts. Got there, we were getting ready to launch a show nationally, and it all blew up. Didn't really want to go to Pittsburgh, but when America's first radio station actually recruited you, you go to Pittsburgh. And the offense in Pittsburgh didn't work, and I figured that out here, and if I had done that there, I'd be the king of Pittsburgh. But I'd rather live here with you. Those people are a lot more libs there. And then you have to find your spot. And when you found your spot, you work, you volunteer, like our man Mitch with the Nampa Chamber. We're talking to Mitch, and I go, dude, you're doing this. He goes, yeah, I'm going to be working the booth at the Snake River Stampede. I go, wow. So you have various types of people in this state that, some people, this is their home. This is where they want to be. Others they want to go to another market, like we see in media. You remember Slappy Bappy? No, nobody does, because they were here for a song and a dance. Sometimes it's just a song. That's the element that's missing in a lot of continuity, if you will. That's the element that's missing when we're taking a looking at things and the long term. We're so blessed to have been doing Miller's Mission for so many years, and we're so blessed to be a part of the Boise Music Festival. So in my roundabout karaoke kind of way, my carousel kind of way, really a tribute to everybody that's getting ready for this. I don't think that we give it enough attention. Yes, you hear the commercials. It's great for businesses. Obviously, the businesses fund this, so thank you to the businesses, the local businesses, and the food vendors and all that. But I suppose have to and want to. When you work, you don't really get to see the enormity of it. But here for, 15 years? 14, 15 years? It would have gone on continually, but there was a thing called the pandemic that stopped us. We tried to do it. And again, the most massive large event post-pandemic outside of Miller's Mission was Lady A coming back. We didn't even know if people would show up. And again, it's a tribute. And again, I'm not blowing smoke. I'm just telling you, I see these people, whether they like me or I like them or not, my coworkers, no one will ever outwork them. And so this is a big week for the community because I'm going to do a search and I'm going to find out if there's anything bigger that's free. So as I was talking to people, and it's funny, either it's age or Idaho changes you. People are going, what's this? And I go, I don't know. Hey, I'd like to how do I get these? Get what? Tickets. To what? To what you're holding? Oh, to the Boise Music Festival. And again, I know I'm at Walmart. We're representing Swire Coca-Cola and KIDO Talk Radio and the Boise Music Festival, so I have to behave. But in my mind, I'm going, do you listen to the radio? And I said that, no. And then my mind goes, get out. Now, that would have been Allen, Ontario, or Kevin Miller in the 70s. Get out. Radio listeners only. But it's a blessing to be able to educate people. And I just was having this scenario in my mind. Well, if you don't listen, you can't win. It's very simple. But these local radio stations, and again, we'll take a shot. The TV stations don't do this. The newspapers certainly don't do it. The other radio groups, they're always jealous of it. They try to give away our tickets. So again, being a homer, I said, homer for the home team. We hope you go. And I had a lovely couple in their 70s say they were going. I go, well, it gets pretty hot. They go, we know Kevin Miller. We listen. But it's a great opportunity. And you don't have to stay the whole day. Literally, if you can brave getting in, because there'll be a crowd, you can stay and then go. You can do what Kevin Miller does. Kevin Miller gets in, is there early, because you can see all the vendors and everything. And if there's an act you want to see, great local acts. I mean, think about these acts that are going to be going on. These people are in there doing it for the love of the game. So maybe we'll see you there. I hope we do. By the way, in my roundabout way, 580-5436. We'd love to have a conversation where you say 580-KIDO, 580 Kevin Miller, and give you some tickets because we want to see you go. And the look on the faces of people is outstanding. Let's get you to work safely and on time at 580-KIDO. Time for, once again, it's interesting. I gotta tell you, watching Tim Sheehy this morning, very charismatic guy. It took him a lot of money, Donald Trump, to beat Senator Tester there in Montana, but I think he's got. I think he could be president. I said it here first. He just did an interview with Brian Kilmeade and really hit it out of the park. We move on. Let's see. By the way, I'm sorry to do this to people. I'm not sorry. I think if you want tickets to the Boise Music Festival, you can do 580-5436 and call in and have a talk to us. By the way, here's Al in Ontario.
Hello?
Yeah, so why don't you do me a favor, please? Would you say 580-KIDO as many times as possible in 10 seconds just to prove that people can do it?
580-KIDO, 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 580-KIDO. How's that?
Okay, hold on for a minute. Put Al back on hold. Put him back on hold, please. And let's go to Scotty. Al, we're going to get to you in a minute. Al really didn't sell those. So, Scotty, thank you for joining us. You're on 580-KIDO, bro.
Hey, thank you. That's awesome.
Are you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Before you get going, though, tell me who you'd like to see.
I want to see E6.
Really?
Yes, sir.
How come?
I grew up listening to them.
What's their big hit?
I never got to see them in concert.
Well, all right. What's their big hit?
Eve 6, Heart in a Blender. I think it's called Wicker Basket.
All right. All right. Well, Scotty, we're going to give you a family 4-pack. We want you to say 580-KIDO at least 5 times. Do you think you can do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to give you the countdown in 3, 2, 1, go.
KIDO 580, KIDO 580, KIDO 580, KIDO 580, KIDO 580, KIDO 580.
Oh, you counted the seconds, did you? All right. Sure. Scotty, you're going to go see No, you're good. You win that family 4-pack. We'll put you on hold. Thank you, Scotty. He wants to see Eve 6. Before we get to Scotty, and I know, Bo, you'll take care of that in a second, could we please have Al back on? We're doing a lot of baiting and switching this morning, so you didn't really sell the call letters. You sounded like a little boy. 580-KIDO, 580-KIDO. I'm sorry it's the games this childish Kevin Miller has to play with you, sir.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm here to save the country, so, I mean, a little different priorities here, right?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, we're gonna talk about what is really the problem, okay? And we have to prioritize. So, being an old guy, I prioritize a little bit different, And, all this rap music and this, that, and the other, flying high like a G6, like a G6. No. Let's just get on and talk about, like American history, okay? And so, Friday, actually, one thing. I saw that Dana Perino, and she was talking about Alexis de Tocqueville. And another guy on there was talking about democracy in America. So what a coincidence, right? That we were talking about de Tocqueville, and then all of a sudden on her little thing, we see her talking about de Tocqueville also. And, hopefully that will, kind of spread because, really, we have to make sure that people are educated. They need to be educated, because really, how
Well, what do you
our
say to
nation
people, though,
moves-
that what about people that don't like you, the educator?
Oh, listen, the whole thing is this: you can't be an emotionalist. Okay, just listen to the facts. Just listen to the facts. Okay, Kevin, you see, you're an emotionalist. You say, oh, this is negative, this is positive. It's not negative or it's not positive. It's not this way or that way. Okay, well, all it is just facts, understanding. You see, like you say, oh, I'm being negative when I say things are collapsing. Look, I mean, you need to realize that collapse happens behind the eyeballs of the people. You may not see it. Okay, if I started talking to people in the 1970s and I told them tens of millions, a country, if I just said, let me tell you about a country where tens of millions of people are crossing the border, okay, within a matter of a couple of years, okay, where you have massive amounts of youth taking over cities all over the country, where you had ungodly spending and 30% of the people, of the men, don't work. And you had, and I could go on and on, where we don't manufacture our own medicines and we don't do all these things. Then I'd give them does that sound like a nation that's collapsing, or does that sound like a nation that's thriving? Everybody would circle collapse. So the whole thing is this: people just need to wake up and listen and understand, okay, that this is a big philosophical problem that we have here. And what they do is they focus in on the most insignificant things, and you have to understand where the big picture is, okay? And you need to learn to see, okay? Everything is connected to everything else, right? As Da Vinci would tell us. But people don't, they just haven't had the education to understand this, okay? And so really, like you were saying on Friday, real quick, I'm going to go back to that. Look, you talk about Thomas Jefferson having slaves. And the reality is this: what president signed the first?
No, hold on. I'm not going to allow you to position me this way. I'm saying this is what people are taught and indoctrinated with. It's not about the greatness of the Declaration of Independence. It's not about the Federalist Papers. It's when you speak to activists and when you hear them, they never, ever, ever, ever talk about the greatness of Jefferson. Now, I'm a Hamiltonian, number one. Number two, even the undercurrent of America 250, people are going, well, it really wasn't that great because of slavery. And then you read the works of the people that lived through the Civil War and you go, how can you not embrace the greatness of this country?
Right. And I mean, if you really want to read a book about the Civil War, you got to read the book Slave States, where this reporter went down to the slave states and reported how, what they did was they used the indentured Irish servants in the dangerous and terrible jobs because the slaves were too valuable. But anyway, and listen to how everything happened there. But,
oh, my gosh, are you going to get to your point or not?
Yeah. So Jefferson is the first president who signed into law legislation in the United States that banned slavery. Okay. In other words, you could
well,
not
that
bring,
would be that would be hypocritical now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, in 1807. But in the first law, you have to look at the world through the lens of what it was. The first law that banned slavery was 1803. Okay, by the Dutch.
So wait a minute. So Jefferson was hanging out with Sally Hemings, and he then wanted to liberate the slaves. Did he liberate Sally? This is a ridiculous argument. Al, thank you for the call. Appreciate that. Sean Hannity today at 1-580 KIDO. Easy. Now, it was a little early for Scotty, so Scotty too hotty. We let you go with KIDO 580, but it's 580 KIDO. And Scotty's going to the Boise Music Festival to see his favorite act, Eve 6. Now, I thought they were not very masculine, but I'm looking at these guys, and even though their name says Eve 6, well, they've got tattoos, so that must mean something. Here's Glenn Beck.
To me, he is. He said to me at one point, and I am, I'm a self-educated man, but somewhat of a historian, and I have a large collection of history in a museum that we're building. But and I know the presidents pretty well, and I mean my favorite president is Washington and then Lincoln. And he said to me at one point, and I thought, oh my gosh, this guy just doesn't end. He's like, I'm going to be great. I want to be I'm going to be remembered as one of the greatest presidents. I mean, up there with Lincoln and Washington. And I thought, this in my head? I'm like, who says that? But Donald Trump. Who says that? But Donald Trump. But I think he will, if his strategy works. And that's the big if. If this strategy works, he will go down as a refounder, as important as a Washington or a Lincoln. We are at this end of this epic, tale of America. And it's either going to now fizzle out and decline, or it's going to be reset.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he has the only plan of reset to reset America back into an industrial giant, back into the leader of the world, back into the driver's seat. Nobody else is suggesting it. Everybody else is managing decline. If he can pull it off, he will be Washington or Lincoln.
I'm so glad that you...
Wow. From our friend Glenn Beck, that you can catch every night from 7 to 10. But will historians ever give Donald Trump the vibe, maybe 100 years from now, when people go, hey, man, this guy did incredible things? You know what they're focusing in on? The pond, the cement pool. More on that in a minute. 580 KIDO traffic. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Dave Burnett is standing by. What up, Big D?
Good morning, Kevin, from the Pacific Steel and Recycling Studios. Starting to see those slowdowns as you're coming out of Canyon County, crossing the county line into the Meridian area. No accidents on the freeway right now. Don't forget, you do have construction on McDermott, Chinden to McMillan. Orange barrels are out. Fence and Lumber is your Cedar Factory outlet, saving you up to 70% off the big box stores. And now more convenient than ever, Fence and Lumber now open in Cuna, online at fenceandlumber.com. That's your traffic now on KIDO.
Thank you very much, Dave Burnett. So here we have it. Glenn Beck saying if Donald Trump can pull this off, yeah, if he can pull it off. We'll see if he can. We'll see how that plays out. Again, J.D. Vance just moments ago saying that they've reached a deal to allow inspectors. Wouldn't that be great? And here we have the president, the vice president, talking about good things. And what are the media saying to ourselves? Well, the media is saying the strait is closed. The strait is closed. Is it closed or isn't it closed? Now we don't know, because we're listening to the fake news out of Iran. Think about this. J.D. Vance breaking down this deal. We'll get your reaction next.
I want to say one last thing. I've seen some misreporting about frozen or unfrozen Iranian assets. One of the other things that we wanted to do, and wasn't as high of a priority for us for obvious reasons, but we wanted to make sure that we set up a process where if we ever unfreeze Iranian assets, we can ensure that that money, that Iranian money, goes to help the people of Iran and not to fund terrorism. So Jared Kushner actually came up with a very interesting solution with the Qataris, where basically, again, if there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people. And as much as I see some of the press misreporting on this, and of course, buttressed by what the Iranians are saying, or not all Iranians, I want to be clear. There are a lot of Iranians who are telling the truth about what happened yesterday, but you see some social media reporting that gets this wrong. But fundamentally, what Jared and the Qataris and the entire team here in Bergenstock accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people. That's a very, very good and very classic Trump deal that's great for our people, great for the people of Iran, and fundamentally, again, will contribute to this regional...
We'll talk a little bit about that, but do the people of Iran really get it? Let's go in depth. We're going to go beyond talking points in a minute. Maybe that will work out for us. Maybe it won't. But, he's talking about the people of Iran, but basically what we're doing is we're putting America first, not the Iranians first. Let me explain next. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Peak Health Idaho, for sponsoring this portion of the program. 580 KIDO. Good morning. More to go. What are we going to do? How are we going to break it? We've got breaking news. Hezbollah rejecting any IDF presence in Lebanon, or Lebanon, however you pronounce it. Meridian Mayor wants to meet people for coffee. We have the Nampa Mayor wants to meet people for coffee. A lot of coffee going on. Let's see an event that we're proudly a part of. Not only the Boise Music Festival. Again, we have our ebbs and we have our flows. Ideally, we'd like to be out all the time. Thank you to the Walmarts. Thank you to Swire Coca-Cola. Thank you to everybody that stopped out. Really, it's funny. A gentleman said, and you don't like taking compliments well. You're right. I don't. But thank you to everybody that stopped by and said, hey, man, we love the program. We love the contributors. You do a good job. And I said, well, yeah. No, you need to take a compliment, which is what Rob Studebaker told me years ago. I think that we can always be better. I know that I can be better for you because I'm here to serve. And there's a gentleman, he's the hat man. And he goes, you ever need me, you just call the hat man. I go, okay. And he goes, you look like you need a hat. I go, well, I got a big head. I got a small throat, a big mouth, and a big head. Not very cosmetically appealing for a lot of folks. Maybe in some parts of the world. Maybe in Ukraine, Russia, Thailand. I don't know. Anyway, regardless of that, a great time. This weekend, it's the big one. The Boise Music Festival. We'll tell you about that in a second. And Idaho Patriot Thunder, where it'll be myself and some people from another radio company. I believe they'll be there. And Kevin Miller. It's very interesting. We're going to be at High Desert Harley-Davidson, not to be confused with High Desert Heart and Vascular. And we're going to be there, and we're going to be rolling, and we're going to be doing a lot of things. Supporting the veterans, supporting Idaho Patriot Thunder. By the way, they're looking at hopefully over 1,000 bikes this weekend. Over 16 years, celebrating America's 250th anniversary. They're going to be, here you go. This custom bike honoring America's 250th anniversary will be featured and put up for sale after the ride. The event over the years has raised $75,000 annually, and registration is open to all community members. So we look forward to seeing you after BMF. Less than 24 hours later, myself and Ugo will be in the slightly faded. I don't know if we're going to get Slim with us as well, but probably not. Slim will be working his 17 side hustles, but the staff continues to grow. We started with Sweet William. We brought on Bo. Bo has his own entity now. Then we have Ugo Promotions. We've got Slim, and who knows who else is going to be there. But it's always great with Slim. Slim has like incredibly long hair, looks like Peter Frampton back in the day. So Slim and I will be at the Boise Music Festival. I don't know if Slim will make it to Idaho Patriot Thunder. He was there last year, but it is a great event. Bo knows that. He went out and shot some video and some photos last time he was there. Food trucks, live bands, raffles. All proceeds going to military nonprofits. That would be, it's going to be outstanding to see that and to be a part of it. And that's what makes Idaho so great. And then we roll into the 4th of July. On our website, if you're looking for an outstanding 4th of July event, there is one that is the largest ever in the city, not the city of Idaho, in the state of Idaho, in the country. And that's in Idaho Falls. I urge you to take a look at that. Now, a lot of you have said, Kevin Miller, are you going to God and Country this year? No, Kevin's taken the God and Country off. David Ferdinand, who I have so much respect for, is such a great dude. As you heard last week, we were promoting it. We always do that. And we've decided to take a break. No, it's not due to my health. But I know a lot of folks in Nampa said, Kevin, you coming out to God and Country? Not this year, but we wish God and Country well. And we hope that they have a wonderful event. They're going to be great. And 250 years and the work that goes into that, 60 years of God and Country, led by David Ferdinand and Dale. And again, it's going to be great. But if you're looking for a huge one, it's fascinating because I was doing this work over the weekend. Well, when don't you work? What else do I have to do? I'm either working for you, working for the Godless Corporation, working for Mrs. Miller. Regardless of that, I was just looking at some of the fireworks. But this fireworks show is really one of the biggest in the country. That story is available on our website, KIDOtalkradio.com. Also on our website, and we'll get to this between now and 10, is the Boise mayor becoming an influencer. And last week we broke on the story. It wasn't Lynn Bradescu, it was Kevin Miller, that we saw the Boise mayor painting curbs. And then we see the mayor talking about bird windows or something. And then she's talking about a potato restaurant. And then she's in the Boise River. No, sweet William, she wasn't floating in the Boise River. She wasn't doing any of those things. She was in a dress, I think, which is always great when women, not men, wear dresses. And it's something that no one else is covering. This Boise mayor who has now become an influencer. Did people elect her to raise taxes or to be an influencer? We'll get into that in a minute. But again, great events. If you listened last hour, great. If you didn't, you missed Scotty winning tickets to the Boise Music Festival. And between now and 8 o'clock, when you call in, not if you call in, when you call in at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you're going to win tickets to the Boise Music Festival. However, we're not doing the cue to call. We're going to retire the cue to call. You got to come on the air. You got to be a part of the magic, the passion of Jim Crockett Promotions. And what you have to do is say 580-KIDO. Now, you know that if people copy this, they get it from us because they only know what we tell them. But I'd really like this to be our feature from now on when it comes to winning incredible prizes. So 580-KIDO. We're going to time you. You have to say it a certain amount of times, 5 or 6, to win not 2, but a family 4-pack to the Boise Music Festival. If you can do it in 10 seconds, you're a winner. We want you to win. We want to see you there. Like I said, the largest free event, I think, in America. Until I'm corrected, I'm going with it. News? Who needs news? Last hour, Senator Sheehy was on Fox and Friends. Dude, this guy has it. This guy has it. I know we've heard him on with Clay and Buck. We've heard him on with Sean. This guy's a star.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I think they know our political cycle, and they know the president is going to be reluctant to take action if it's going to get the price of oil and gas up and hurt his chances of keeping the House and Senate. So they're going to play games up until the last minute. Am I wrong to think that?
You're 100% right, and I think the vice president and his team are aware of that, which is why they're trying to put structural controls in place. But a piece of paper is not going to do that, and I hope the inspectors are a path that we can ensure they're actually not continuing to enrich uranium. But we can't control Israel, nor should we. They need to defend themselves, and our real allies in the region, our real allies are UAE and Israel.
And do you think we've gotten off track with that when the vice president made his remarks on Friday, that Israel says we're the only friend they have in the world? I don't think that's accurate personally, but I think it's detrimental to our relationship with our number one ally. Pound for pound, as good as military as any in the world, and the intelligence sharing could not be replaced.
Now, when you look at who's been by our side through thick and thin, no matter what, throughout the region for decades, it's been Israel, UAE, and of course Saudi Arabia as well. You know, Pakistan, let's not forget, Pakistan hid.
You know, before we get back to this, first of all, Brian Kilmeade's, obviously his talk show genre is taking over because you can hear him asking long-winded questions. Now, people say, Kevin, you don't talk. My thought on this is I'm just asking simple, basic questions, not leading the witness here. But again, Brian, very talented. No one will ever outwork Brian Kilmeade, ever. And he's a very passionate man, having run into him at the Avenue of the Americas, the Fox News headquarters, when I looked like Jerry Garcia, God rest his soul, or Grizzly Adams, or a mini version of Jelly Roll, who's a lot younger than I am, so I don't know how that would work. However, I guess he would be a bigger me. Anyway, the look of shock and disdain on Brian Kilmeade's face when he saw me getting the free coffee in the break room as we were doing our show from there will always live on with me. And again, we talk about Mateo from 103.5 KISS FM, or is it 103.3 KISS FM? I can't remember. We went to New York for the Marconi Awards, which, again, it was always great to be nominated. We've won it, but for some strange competitive reason, we continue to fight for it. So while we're there, we're on with Fox. We actually go to New York, not just talk about it. So we go on, and so he's doing his blogs because we have to. The Godless Corporation says you will do your blogs, and he's sitting there at a table, and Kilmeade walks up to him and goes, couldn't find any place else to work because he's got this enormous, elaborate studio. I have a little closet, and Jason Rance was using that the other day, the talented kid from Seattle, and just Kilmeade doesn't miss anything. So anyway, I digress. Let's get back to perhaps a future president.
Bin Laden for a decade. They funded through ISI insurgencies against me and my troops.
Do you have a problem with them being an intermediary?
I do. I think Qatar and Pakistan, they have a role to play for sure. But if they're going to be at the table, we better have UAE and Saudi and Israel at the table too, because Qatar's been laundering money for terrorist organizations for decades. The Pakistanis through ISI funded insurgencies against us and hid Bin Laden. So to assume they're going to be objective middlemen here, I don't think is accurate. And I think we need to make sure we stand with UAE, we stand with Israel.
Dude, this guy is a real-life action hero. However, let's go back to a story that no one in Idaho dares to cover. No one in Idaho dares to take a look at. And again, a story that could result in either the Qataris buying the Godless Corporation or the Qataris saying, this guy's too dangerous, but we're going to tell the truth. And I don't, I think Qatar is a fascinating, and if their algorithm is working, they're monitoring this program. I really, truly believe that and mean that. And this is not to be provocative. It's to be objective, to give you some analysis. So and remember, Qatar just gave the president the new Air Force One. So it's a complicated relationship. Back to another Boise Music Festival artist, CNC Music Factory, things that make you go, The Qataris, the Qatars, whatever you want to call them. They've given the president a big plane. They're going to be at Mountain Home Air Force Base if they're not there already, which means they have a presence in state, which means that they're already influencing our government. That's their job. Our people go to Qatar all the time. Qatar are very close to Iran. Listen to what Senator Sheehy said about this. Let's take a listen one more time.
Being an intermediary?
I do. I think Qatar and Pakistan, they have a role to play for sure. But if they're going to be at the table, we better have UAE and Saudi and Israel at the table too, because Qatar's been laundering money for terrorist organizations for decades. The Pakistanis through ISI funded insurgencies against us and hid Bin Laden. So to assume they're going to be objective middlemen here, I don't think is accurate. And I think we need to make sure we stand with UAE, we stand with Israel unequivocally, because they will be our vanguard in the region no matter what happens.
Again, this guy, multimillionaire, Navy SEAL, Senate Intelligence Committee. He's big time. He's like a young Jim Risch, if you will, Senator Risch. He's had a lot of life experience. He said a lot in that. By the way, you're welcome to comment 580-KIDO. There are a lot of people, including people that are very close to me, maybe close to you, that ain't down with Israel anymore, that are not down with the Israelis, that believe that we are useful idiots for backing the Israelis for what they've done in Gaza, what they've done to Hamas, Hezbollah, and everything else. Need I remind you what those people did to babies and children and old people and everybody else? The state of Israel is a blatant example, friend, of what the Iranians would do to us. In my personal opinion. That is what they would do to us if they could, or they'd burn us with a nuclear weapon. Not all the Iranians, but the mullahs. And not to be a person that is a talking point person. And maybe, again, I'm always trying to build the audience. Maybe we should do that. But this is Idaho. This is different. This is special. Where we think about things, critical thinking. And I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking to myself, in the past, especially in the 60s, it was exposed because that's what people did in the 60s. They exposed themselves. In the past, it was exposed and talked about that people would, people got very mad. There was a book called The Ugly American, and basically talked about our arrogance when we're dealing with people around the world, kind of like the Roman Empire. And how we would not be reflective or respectful of host country sensitivities. I don't know if they still call that in the military, but when I was briefly in, that's what they called it. Host country sensitivities, Like, you don't shake hands in certain countries. You don't use the bathroom in a certain way in certain countries. You don't use gestures in a certain country because people find that insulting. So with that in mind, when we're talking about host country sensitivities and the Iranians, are we going back to a policy where we don't care how the people treat their people because we've got a regime that will do business with us? We all know they will not do business with us, but we need to cut this deal. And in cutting this deal, are we going old George Bush in China, not young George Bush, but God rest soul Poppy Bush, when he tried to bring China into the League of Nations? I know it's not the United Nations, the New World Order, the NWO, before Hogan, Nash, and Hall, where he thought that if they were exposed to Western culture, Western markets, Western financial systems, that they would assimilate. They never did. It seems with the president, what the president's trying to do is to get the Iranians to understand, being inside and with indoor plumbing and electricity is great. On the other hand, we're basically selling out the Iranian people because it is about America. It's not about them. And this deal ensures that the mullahs are going to be in power. Maybe there'll be a democratic uprising. I don't know. What the mullahs have done in almost 50 years is to ensure that they have repressed those people. And let this be known, they've also ensured that you're not going to have right to bear arms. You're not going to have any type of rebellion because, let's face it, unarmed people against machine guns, the machine is going to win. Let's take that point for a minute. So what have we learned? Back to Senator Sheehy. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Israel. He's very pro-Israel. And even although Channel 6 isn't on DirecTV, I watched it on YouTube, and you had a guy who's a Bernie Sanders guy talking about the Israeli lobby spending money to defeat people, and I'm going, man, is that accurate or is that anti-Semitic? A lot to think about. Let me tell you what I've been thinking about lately. I've had a few medical tests, and it's funny. People always talk about medical tests, and people always say you should do them. And nobody wants to do a medical test. Because in America, in Idaho, we're satisfied with, if I feel good, I'm good. I don't need to know what's going on the inside. And for 58 years, I lived that way. Until, again, I had a call. I was literally at the United Nations in New York. I had a doctor call me and say, look, your heart paused for 7 seconds. And I go, oh. And then I, talked to various people, and they said, you're going to have to do this, that, and the other. And I've talked to you about making a decision to go to see our friends at Dr. Noonan's place. And what I love about Dr. Noonan is that he gave me hope. So I have a loop recorder implanted in my chest. The Chinese now know where I am at all the time. And that was the shock that wanted me, said, I got to lose weight. And if you've been with me, you've seen me do this various times, but I've lost, 124 pounds today, as of yesterday, the weigh-in. And I did it by not taking drugs, not taking anything else. And look, if you need to lose weight, and your doctor says take the shot. I've actually had people care about me so much that they volunteered to pay for the shot. Not only people associated with this program, but I've had medical providers that have said, dude, you need to take the shot. And I would say, look, no one's going to care more about you than you. My point being is I went to Peak Health, Idaho a couple weeks ago. And the video that we shot there with our friend Rome is so compelling, so powerful. It will blow your mind. But when you're the subject of such powerful videos, you have to let it sink in for a minute, because I want to document this. We're going to lose 100 more pounds thanks to our friends at Peak Health, Idaho. And I struggle with saying it. I don't struggle with the test scores that I just received. As I'm sitting in the Walmart, the beautiful Walmart at 10 Mile, I'm getting my extensive lab results from Dr. Eric Lyle. By the way, these are much more extensive than you're going to get unless your doctor orders them. And it's part of the service that he provides, the concierge service. If you're interested in wellness, if you've not been good to yourself for the first 30 years and you want to live for the next 30 to 40 to 50 years, Dr. Lyle has programs working with Sean, working with Beverly, nutritionist. Sean has a background in cardiovascular rehabilitation, which I didn't know. He worked there, University of Utah, I believe, before coming here. But a local guy, College of Idaho grad. And I learned this by doing my before stuff, the DEXA body scan, where I found out I have this much of lean body mass and about 100 pounds of fat on me. That's visceral, internal, and external, what you can and can't see. And then what I've learned is I got my blood test back, and it's really extensive, and I'm going back and forth with my medical experts. That would be Jeremy Fricks and my wife. And it was amazing. And what these medical indicators do, this extensive blood work, is determine where you are on the health score to give them a baseline to improve your health. Now, Friday we did the stress test at High Desert Heart and Vascular. By the way, I urge you all to go to Peak Health Idaho. They're the best, and you got through that. So we get the clearance from that. We'll go back and do an additional VO2 max. And like I said, preparation is everything. But whether you're trying to lose weight, trying to get your breath back, give yourself the gift of health. Peak Health Idaho, peakhealthidaho.com. Dr. Lyle, Beverly, Kristen, Sean, they do a great job. And I'm putting it all on the line because, like I said, we're actually not doing the old, hey, look at me, I've done this. This is before we've worked with them. And what we want to do is to show you dramatically, transparently what can happen. And I thought I was doing well until I, again, saw these videos, and I'm like, whoo, I couldn't imagine what I was like before. If you're that way, love yourself, peakhealthidaho.com. Phone number's here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So we've been talking a little bit about Senator Sheehy. A little early for him to run for president. This guy, he can't wait to run.
His experiences mirror so many of my father's. I see my father in so many ways, the way I see President Biden. That's one of the reasons I was so loyal to the end, and I happily will take.
Did he just say Joe Biden is his daddy? Kevin Miller, 580-KIDO. I don't know about that. One thing I do know is you can win tickets to the Boise Music Festival. All you have to do is call in, and we'll have a little talk. Repeat after me, 580-KIDO, 580-KIDO, and you're going to win. If you don't do it, you're not going to win. By the way, thank you to all the Walmarts. It was wonderful. It was exciting. I had a lot of surprising people at the Boise Walmart on Overland, and, we've sadly kind of written off Boise. But there are a lot of good conservatives. People came out, and we were right next to the rubber duck guy and right next to the hot dog stand. If you follow me at Kevin Miller Show on social media, you would have seen me with the hot dogs, which is very exciting. And people go, well, Kevin Miller, what happened to your teeth? That's the funniest thing. I used to have perfect teeth, and then the CPAP came in, and I did not adapt to a mouthpiece until it was too late. Then my teeth have got all mangled. So it's crooked. That's my new one. Crooked Teeth, Kevin Miller. Crooked Teeth. What is it? CT? Yeah, kind of like Danhausen. But a wonderful time. Thank you, Swire Coca-Cola. Thank you, Walmart. Thank you to everyone who is supporting this year's Boise Music Festival, headlined by Marshmello, Sean Paul, Everclear, and all the local bands that are going to be there. We're excited. We're pumped to see everybody. I know I'll see Ray Jr., maybe Patriot Ray. It was wonderful to run into Patriot Ray over the weekend. But the Walmart in Boise, then we moved on to the Walmart in Meridian next to Roaring Springs, which surprisingly was jam-packed. And you're going to go, well, why was it surprising? I guess that West Ada thing is pumping up. The next day, 10 Mile Walmart. Amazing. And then we finished at Fairview, which was a little dead, but it was Sunday night from 3 to 5, so everybody had gotten their stuff. A lot of Budweiser, a lot of Michelob Light, a lot of beer. Having never had a beer in my life, it was fascinating to see that. A lot of beer being sold. And then, I don't know if you've noticed this, and we're all victims or whatever of our patterns, if you will. I don't know what psychologists call it. We're all students of our patterns, perhaps prisoners of our patterns. So for me, it's the Star Albertsons, because those people listen. The Fred Meyer on Chinden, because those people listen. It used to be the Albertsons on 10 Mile and Cherry. But then when you go to other Walmarts, and for us, our home Walmart is the Garrity Road, Garrity in Franklin. And I go to the 10 Mile. It was great to see Jared there working. Just left Fred Meyer working at Walmart. But it was interesting to see such a diverse group of people. And at some Walmarts, you had people bringing in their dogs. And there was this one man, and there was this one lady, but man, she cared so much about her dog. She actually made sure the dog, when she brought him in, and then she had to come back, she was carrying the dog in and out. It wasn't a big dog, maybe 20 pounds probably, like a Sheltie or something like that. Not a Sheltie. Anyway, but there was this guy, and God bless him, older gentleman, a lot of older gentlemen, and he had a little dachshund. And you could tell this guy was a worker because he had a mini dachshund, a young mini dachshund, and he put the dachshund in his suspenders so he could bring the dachshund in. And then he had like a towel for the dachshund to sit in the cart, which, by the way, they prohibit that at that Fairview Walmart, but he did it anyway. And there are a lot of people that are very comfortable with their animals and bringing them into Walmart or what have you. And it just kind of hit me. And then when he walked out, he had his groceries, and he had his dachshund, and he had his, like, what is that, a 24 thing of beer? And he had this, and I go, well, he got his supplies for the week. Well, bless his heart. Now, that's Americana right there. That's Americana. What isn't Americana? You'll never see this guy at a Walmart, will you?
His experiences mirror so many of my father's. I see my father in so many ways, the way I see President Biden. That's one of the reasons I was so loyal to the end, and I happily will take the arrows on that and defend that. We'll continue to build on the legacy, I would argue, of our former president, who I think was one of the most successful presidents in the last century, and that is Joe Biden. And I will defend that till my grave.
Yeah. Even though Hillary Clinton continues to gut Joe Biden. Nobody was beating Donald Trump. Not Gavin, not Kamala, and certainly not Joe. Let's get you to work safely and on time.
But both the president and vice president have alluded to pragmatic negotiators at the table. Can we turn over a new leaf, though, with the supreme leader's shadow kind of looming over the Iranian people? What do you think, Ambassador?
Well, but it also comes down to not only that leverage that, again, the prior administration just gave away before they even walked into the room. President Trump is using it and ready to use it again. But it's also, Laura, especially when dealing with this regime, it is no trust and all verify. And whether that is anytime, anywhere inspections, which is a key fault of the JCPOA Obama deal, where basically Iran got to dictate where you could, where we could inspect. They got to dictate if it was a military site or not, if it was off limits or not. They got to dictate even the list of inspectors. That will not be the case with this deal going forward. And then further, we've got our great Navy out there that can lock down that blockade if they need to again. And I would not underestimate Scott Bessent. He is an economic ninja. And even the money that the Iranians are getting out into the market, he is blocking it through sanctions and secondary sanctions from getting back in. So this is a multi-layered approach, maximum pressure in place until Iran gives up this obsession with a nuclear weapon. And again, President Trump will be doing the entire world a favor. I was just out in the Middle East with our great allies, with Bahrain, the UAE, and others, and they said, you know, the Iranians have shown their true color. If they will hold the world hostage with drones and missiles, just think what they would do with a nuke.
Exactly. And that's what we need to focus on, not the reflecting pool. Before that, let's go to David DeHaas.
Paid for by Living Waters Wellness Center.
Who's always stirring things up. Good morning, sir.
Always stirring up, Kevin. Well, hey, while you were out giving away tickets, I was watching Miracles. We had a couple drive out from the Midwest to attend our 10-day healing retreat. They had a list of symptoms longer than my leg. One had shaking body and heart issues due to heavy metals and parasites. Wife, super sick, has daily convulsions. Well, they've been everywhere looking for solutions that they never found. Restless leg and body have now subsided. The clients are spitting out parasites faster than popcorn out of a hot pan. Yesterday, they came in looking like they had facelifts. Rosy pink cheeks look 10 years younger, and they both walk so much better. All disease is caused by inflammation, and inflammation is caused by the toxins. Living Waters Cleanse is really good at getting rid of toxins and parasites. Colon hydrotherapy is critical to eliminating toxins and parasites. Eliminate the toxins and parasites and the body heals. Learn more at livingwaterscleanse.com. Then this Sunday at 9 a.m. on the Whole Body Detox Show on KIDO 580 a.m., we have Doc Newsom on, and he goes deep on the importance of healing the colon and detoxing it and shares a crazy, crazy parasite story you'll have you in stitches. Don't miss Sunday at 9. KIDO 580.
Did you forget something?
Oh, nothing here is better to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease. You got a qualified healthcare professional. See if cleansing is right for you. Thank you.
Appreciate that. You look out for me. I look out for you.
We're a team, buddy.
We are.
Team KIDO 580.
What? 580 KIDO.
KIDO.
That's what we're selling this week. By the way, one of my great memories of you is when you came out to visit me at the Walmart. One of our many Walmart appearances. You like the Walmart. I mean, you're a man of the people when you're not playing basketball with your grandkids.
That's right. Yes, I've been to many a Walmart. Yes, I remember that too. That was out in the middle of Meridian someplace. I don't know. I don't think you can find it again. It's way out there.
Fairview. Yeah. There you have it. See, he's a Boise guy, and Boise people. You and Petzo. 10 Mile. Well, that's way out there. Way out there. That's the heart of the Treasure Valley.
Yep. Yes. Yes. Boy,
hey, whoever, you're on the phone here, buddy. You're on the radio. David, don't they know who you're talking to is very important?
My wife thinks she's more important. She runs this show. I'm just down here as the janitor, Kevin. I just do all the other things.
My goodness gracious. Well, you better have a talk with her and set her straight.
No. She's a master healer. Oh, no. I know where my bread's buttered, buddy.
I love it. David DeHaas, thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you. You have a blessed week.
You
Paid
too.
for by Living Waters Wellness Center.
That guy knows. He knows. He knows exactly who the boss is. Good for him. By the way, we are giving away tickets to the Boise Music Festival. Lars Larson coming up. Busy weekend for us. Boise Music Festival. We will introduce Everclear, and we'll introduce the country band as well. Myself and Matt Walling, Mateo from KISS FM. The Odd Couple of Idaho, that's for sure. We will be introducing, we'll be kicking off the festival for some strange reason, and we thank the Godless Corporation for allowing us to appear together. When we're together, there, again, he would be Felix. I would be Oscar. No one likes to be the old guy in the Odd Couple, but that would be me. So we will kick it off. I'll introduce Everclear, then Sean Paul, then you've got Marshmello, which I have to say, this is big. Like, this guy hangs out with, what's his name? Diplo, who hangs out with Ric Flair. That's the only reason why I know Diplo. And these people, like, he goes to Europe and he wears this marshmallow head and he goes to jiggy, 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 and wiggy, wiggy, wiggy. I think it's going to, this might surpass Pitbull. This might surpass Jelly Roll. This might surpass Train. All you have to do to win tickets, give us a call, and it's 580-KIDO. In fact, the next time we do appearances, I just want people to yell that, start chanting. Anyway, that's number one. Number two, myself and maybe Slim and Ugo Promotions, we will be the next day at the High Desert Harley Davidson. We're going to be there hanging out with the bikers. Jerry will join us. Wonderful to see Jerry and his beautiful family. Jerry, formerly of Middleton, but was an Emmett native, then is back to Emmett. God bless you, Jerry. Love you very much. Jerry will be there, and so many thousands of bikers. So this is how much these people love America. And if you're listening to us in Denver or Salt Lake or Seattle or San Bernardino, I'm trying to think of or San Antonio, which is strange, or Laconia, New Hampshire, then this is the magic of Idaho. thousands of bikers will get up early in the morning. I think it opens at 7:30. Wheels up at 10. Ooh, lots of sound, lots of thunder. Idaho Patriot Thunder. Join us Sunday morning, a ride to Mountain Home and back. Now, my man Big J of the X, and look, Countless Corporation says just put on a good show. I don't know if Big J would ever mention Kevin Miller, but Big J, love that guy. Iconic personality. He and Nick from the X. Big J will be there, I believe. He's there every year. He loves the bikes. He always tries to get me to be a man. I go, I don't know, Big J. Anyway, I believe he'll be there. I'll be there. And if you're a biker, if you're not, maybe you just want to see some impressive wheels, some impressive iron. They actually closed down the freeway, or as I like to say, the highway, to get these people on. So great partnership with law enforcement. So here you have it. It starts off with like the people that ride, no, the not the military, but we will have cannons. And then you have the police escort, and then people go, and it's yeah. You don't need a TRT shot with that, do you? Anyway, so that's this weekend. We hope to see you. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. Okay. Foxy. And Tea Party Bob. Speaking, well, we're not going to say that. That would be sexist, would it not?
Look, I don't want to, continue digging on this, but you told Reverend Sharpton that you might in 2028. You told me that you had thought about it, but you haven't made a decision. But what is that? What is the deciding factor? Like, is there a point where you go, okay, yes, or okay, no? Do you know where that point is?
Listen, I've run for president before, obviously, so I have a pretty good sense of what it requires, and it requires a lot. And not only of the principal, but of their family, their team, their supporters. And, ultimately, I think when I make a decision, that is going to weigh heavily.
Imagine having to work for her. You ever just have a bad boss of another gender? Oh, let me tell you, Kevin Miller. You imagine that? Working for her. Kabbalah.
For me on the decision. So I'll keep you posted.
Thank you for answering that. You've talked.
Thank you for answering that. Don Lemond with Kamala. She'll keep us posted. Well, good for that. I don't know, man. You take a look at, I think the smart play would be Gavin. Now, California is a disaster, but Gavin is the guy. He's telegenic. He's this, that, and the other. He's not as wacko as everybody else, but I think it comes down to AOC or Gavin. Two very, very different candidates. Kamala, yesterday's news. Yeah, that's going to be an exciting primary. That kicks off right after November, the midterms, if you will, after the midterms. So Gavin defending Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton attacking Joe Biden. Sometimes you just kind of get lost in the words, and it's kind of mesmerizing hearing her say something, but absolutely saying nothing. Coming up, Lars Larson will join us. We're going to ask him about retiring student loan debt and taxing the rich. He's going to be pretty happy about that. And back to our conversation concerning Iran. I don't think I know this as a fact. The news media has really basically decided that they're in the propaganda business, and they have been for years. The Iran war is the most blatant thing. So here, breaking news, Fox will be all over it. 580 KIDO Fox will be all over it. And they'll be saying the Iranians now have agreed to nuclear inspections and the strait is open. But instead of being objective, they'll go with the fake news story that the strait is not open. And one of the things that the political pundits and the Republicans and everybody maybe fear and don't understand is, in the end, if Donald Trump is truly, the president is truly the crazy man that they say he is, then he has nothing to lose. And if they embarrass him, they will leave him no choice but to blow them back to smithereens. And those aren't words. If you don't think that the people at the Pentagon and Area 51 and Gowan Field and Mountain Home Air Force Base are not recalibrating everything to really turn that country into a third world country, then you are mistaken. The brilliance of Trumpism is that what appears to be is not what actually is. And therefore, here you have the president essentially, I'm gonna give you the big carrot, a big juicy carrot with a lot of fiber. Fiber's good. Or you're going to get the stick. He is not George Bush. He is not Barack Obama. He's nothing like the world has ever seen. Israel, they're still getting pounded. Eventually, because the president has so shrewdly come up with this deal, this is the last chance. The world should join us in truly liberating the Iranian people if they don't bend the knee. That's what's going to happen here. And instead, we have our friends talking about a reflecting pool. Can't wait to hear what Lars Larson has to say about it. Kevin Miller, this portion of the program brought to you by Peak Health Idaho. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. Without further ado, you'll catch him today at 4 anytime. Lars Larson Show, LarsLarson.com, LarsLarsonShow.com, Instagram, Facebook, all sorts of places. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Getting ready to celebrate America and everything else. And you, Lars, how are you? Another weekend at the ranch?
I'm doing very well. Last week I had a little bit of laryngitis, and so do you know how tough it is for me to sit and do? I mean, I can be doing things like we did a bunch of construction work this weekend, but without saying anything at all. No talking.
Well, and having seen you in the live broadcasting, I mean, you got the booming voice, bro. So I felt for you as I was listening last week.
Well, and so what I did is I decided to take a couple of days off. People said, "You're celebrating Juneteenth," and I said, "Well, no." Although I have to tell you something, Kevin. I know the left wants to celebrate Juneteenth. We really should, because think about what it is. It's when a Republican president decided to grant the Emancipation Proclamation, and the final word of it reached Galveston, Texas. That is a tremendous victory when the Republicans freed the slaves that had been held by the Democrats. I think that's something to celebrate, don't you?
Oh, and I so agree with you. And, we talk about how the left is with this sad undercurrent during America's 250. Well, this was this and this is this. And I'm like, you take a look at the Civil War, and if that doesn't show you the beauty of America, the sacrifice, and then the Civil Rights Movement, I don't know what does.
No, and in fact, you have to see that, is there any other country on earth that has fought so expensive a war? And I don't mean expensive in dollar terms. I mean expensive in blood. The blood that was shed to settle that issue of both states' rights and the issue of slavery, because it was both. There were a number of issues all wrapped up into what happened in the Civil War, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. But that was a tremendous sacrifice that this country made to make today happen. And I know there are people who say, well, but the Constitution was written and the founders didn't follow it. The Constitution was an aspirational document. And what I mean by that is it's something you aspire to. And Kevin, I've been reminded of this because I think I've told you this last weekend. I was up at this little farm we bought almost 2 years ago. September 20th will be 2 years. And when we bought it, it was 8 acres and a literally falling down farmhouse that had not had anybody living in it for 14 years. And you say, what does that have to do with the Constitution? We bought it and we said, we think we can make this into something. And not because I can write the big checks, because I can't write the big checks, but my family and I said, we will do the construction work, most of it. We hired some of it, but we will do the work, and we aspire to make it a wonderful place. And it's getting there after almost 2 years now of every single weekend up there working, the family and everybody else working and pouring concrete and cutting boards and framing walls and replacing things that were broken and worn out. After almost 2 years, it is getting there. That's what I think the founders did, was they wrote You wouldn't have wanted them to write a constitution that merely said, this is the way things are today, and we think they should probably stay that way indefinitely. You wrote a document that said, this is the way we hope they will be, that all people will be treated equally under the law, that all have God-given rights that are protected from government interference. That's an aspirational, and think about it, Kevin, don't you hope that every American is aspirational, that every 18-year-old man or woman says, I hope to become X. Now, at 18, they're not there yet. If they hope to become a plumber, an electrician, if they hope to become a contractor, if they hope to become a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse or an accountant, they're not there yet, but they aspire to be those things. And if you say, well, aspirations don't matter, yes, they do. And the left seems to think that if you wrote a constitution that didn't immediately go into effect, which wasn't even possible at the time that the Bill of Rights was written, then it's a failure because it didn't immediately produce a fair and just America.
My favorite is the people that rip on America that have benefited from America. Anyway, we could go on, but let me get up to our great friend Lars Larson. So, Lars, what I love about you is, A, you're a real man and you're working on the weekends. B, you do two shows. Yeah. So you do two shows, which is fascinating because you put both your heart and soul into both those shows. But, and obviously your television background, your journalism background, but what do you make of the libs, the loons, focusing in on the reflecting pool as opposed to what we've heard recently out of Switzerland, that the deal is moving along, although bumpy, the deal is moving along?
The Iran deal?
Yeah. Is
that what you're talking about? You mean the Iran deal, right? And the only thing that concerns me is whether or not we end up with effectively the same deal that Obama tried to sell Americans on. And I am concerned about that because I'm concerned that we've given away a lot and we don't have any guarantee at this point that we're going to get what we want, which is a nuclear-free Iran. I'm not sure we're going to get there. So let me be skeptical because I'm concerned that we get something different than what we got under Obama. And all the way along, I've been saying that I think that Trump will deliver something better than what the Obama deal was. But I am concerned because at this point we see that, in fact, as of this hour, is the Strait of Hormuz open again or not? Or are the Iranians still playing that game?
Exactly. And, again, we hear that they've allowed nuclear inspections. We'll see. But the focus on the pool, everything is the reflecting pool, Lars.
Yeah.
And like I said, you've been to D.C. so many times. By the way, let me just share one thing with what I love about you, Lars. And you forgot about this, but there have been two cool nights in D.C. One was with you and me and Dave Ellswick of Arkansas. And yes, and we're sitting there, and then Matt Gaetz is next door, and I've talked to the story that you go over and talk to him when he's with a very cosmetically appealing young lady, and that was so cool. And then, like, our first time we hung out it was you, me, and Rusty Humphreys, and we went to this place in Georgetown, and, I could barely move, so you guys felt sorry for me. We'll get in a taxi for Kevin, and then here we are in this Italian place, Rusty's talking about all sorts of things, and then we end up at the Wall. Just one of those incredible historic nights in D.C.
Wasn't that amazing to be at the Wall? Yeah. Well, I will say this about the pool. Do you know what I suspect happened with the pool? And I'd love to see it confirmed, is that somebody has apparently tested the water. I know CNN tested the water, and they said it has a very high level of phosphates in it. Well, do you know where phosphates would generally come from? Everybody who's a farmer out in your audience knows this. It's fertilizer. You say, well, why would there be fertilizer in the pool? Well, depending on, the slope there would not lend itself to phosphates from, say, the lawns nearby getting into the pond. But if somebody wanted to sabotage that pond, all they'd have to do is find a way to sneak some first phosphate fertilizer into it, and that would cause an algae bloom. And isn't it amazing that this algae bloom has happened very quickly? And I'm told that when they tested the water, they found a high level of phosphates. Does that mean that somebody deliberately sabotaged it, saying, this has worked out so well for Trump? it makes him look good because he did much less expensively a reworking of that pond to clean up a disgusting, and it was a disgusting situation, for a relatively small amount of money, and using money from the National Parks Fund to be able to do it, which is an appropriate use of the money. And then all of a sudden there's an algae bloom. Why did that happen? And I think they've actually arrested at least one person for attempting to sabotage that. Now, Kevin, ask yourself this. What does it take for someone to say, I hate a president so much, a president who was chosen by a majority of Americans, that I'm willing to deliberately try to sabotage his efforts to make America great? What does that say?
The liberal loons. And, of course, here's a strange thing, Lars. You and I worked through Obama. In fact, that one of the wildest things was Barack Obama was the most divisive president in our lifetime, it seems. And yet now he seems mild compared to today. What do you make of the people revising the Obama legacy with his presidential library opening?
Oh, they're trying to, because by the way, that library has to be one of the ugliest, and I'm not a connoisseur of architecture, but I think that library has to be one of the ugliest buildings I have ever seen. And I'm not even sure what to compare it to, because it is just an ugly building. But perhaps it represents well the ugly legacy of a president like Obama.
It does make you wonder. Our great friend Lars Larson joining us. Catch him today at 4. Lars always working for you when he's not working on the farm or the ranch. Appreciate that, even though his voice is coming back. Some great political insight. Speaking of which, what do you make of, and Lars, what I love about you, and I mean this sincerely and legitimately, not kissing the ring, but I'm going to kiss the ring, is you believe in a set of standards to be a good husband, a good father, a good grandfather, a good role model, a good friend to Sir Winston. And on the other hand, we have this guy in Maine that all the Democrats are going, well, he's a good Maine person. And I've been to Maine. Maine, they're interesting people, number one. But number two, we go back to the Republicans. I think it was Roy Moore, and they did not support him when he won the nomination. They allowed Doug Jones to win that Senate seat, where the Democrats are all in on this Plattner guy. What do you make of it?
I don't get it, because Plattner seems, in almost all of his behavior, seems to be a very ugly character. He pretends to be an average blue-collar Mainer. He is, in fact, a kid who's benefited well from his parents' wealth. And I don't mind parents helping kids, but when you say I'm just an average person, but Dad gave me $200,000 for the down payment on my house, I have an oyster farm that really only exists because my main customer is my mom's restaurant. He seems like a phony. And I would hope that any time Republicans see a phony like this, that we call them out. And I know there are people, Kevin, who would say, well, what about Donald Trump? He got some money from his dad. He got millions. It may have even been tens of millions. But even if you grant them that, Kevin, how many people do you know who could take $10 million and grow it into $1 billion? That's a rare person in America, because there are kids who grow up rich and mom and dad leave them 10 or 20 or $50 million, and they don't turn it into much of anything. They spend it. That's what the majority of people would do with that kind of inheritance. Donald Trump turned it into multiple billions of dollars and has done very, very well. And if people say, well, but he's gone bankrupt, his companies, not him personally, have gone bankrupt a couple of times, you say, yes. If you go online, this is a fun one to look at if people haven't done it. Look up famous, wealthy business owners who've gone bankrupt. It's almost all of them. They've had businesses that go bankrupt. Apple Computer came very close, or Apple came very close to going bankrupt. And you go, why? Because they kicked Steve Jobs off the board. I don't particularly like Steve Jobs, but he's kind of a creepy character. He's passed away now, but he was a creepy character. He's mean to his friends, but he was brilliant when it came to business. So did he pull Apple back from the edge of bankruptcy? Yeah. And now they're a very, very successful company. Try to find somebody who's very successful, who's never had a company go bankrupt. If you don't go bankrupt, it's because, or if you don't even come close, it's probably because you haven't been pushing the limits hard enough. Because anybody who goes out there and actually takes the risks that business always involves is going to end up getting close, on occasion, to going upside down. Upside down meaning you're taking in less money than you're spending. And that's one of those phenomena that you have to take into account. Trump has done that. And yet people call that a criticism of Trump to say, well, he's had some companies go bankrupt. Yes, many, many, many successful people have. So what?
Well, no, and that's the funniest thing. When anytime somebody brings up Plattner, they go, what about the president? We're not talking about the president. We're talking about Plattner, who, again, name any Republican that could get away with a Nazi tattoo.
The Nazi tattoo, the nasty comments about women, the nasty comments online, all these other things that he has done. And why would the Democrats stand behind that guy? As you said, it's because I don't think the Democrats have any standards. If they didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all.
Lars, anything else you'd like to share with us today? I know.
No, I'll tell you what, we're going to share it all on the show tonight, and I'm so glad to be on KIDO, and I love getting calls from your fans, Kevin. I absolutely love it.
No, we love you, and we always love the shout-outs. And Lars, one day we'll get you here. I know you've been to Idaho. And by the way, okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you going to the amusement park this year, or have you been there already?
We're going to go to Silverwood, and I don't know if you can say Silverwood, but I can say Silverwood. We're going to take my granddaughter to Silverwood. She loves Silverwood, and do you know what the best thing is? Because she isn't into politics, and we don't push politics on her. But Silverwood is basically everything Disney has without the woke, without the DEI, without the CRT, without the political correctness. It is politically incorrect, and it's funny because standing in line at Silverwood over multiple summers, as we've taken her there year after year, we'll run into people from Seattle, we'll run into people from other big cities, and they're almost all there because they say, this is like having what Disney used to be, except it doesn't have to be politically correct, and it's wonderful.
Lars, we appreciate you. Thank you for your time again, sir.
You bet. Take care, Kevin.
Our great friend Lars Larson, always appreciate him today at 4 on 580 KIDO. Phone number's here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Boom. Lindsay?
I think it's going to fail. What happens next? I spent 4.5 hours with President Trump Friday. Here's what I think will happen next. If this deal fails, President Trump is going to take the Strait of Hormuz over by force. The United States will control the Strait of Hormuz. We'll charge a fee for all those who go through to pay for the operation. And we're going to expand the Abraham Accords in calendar year 2026. We're going to get Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords, and which is the biggest change in 5,000 years in the Mideast. And if Iran contests control of the Strait of Hormuz by the United States, we will obliterate them. So to all the people listening, if this diplomatic effort fails, President Trump is going to take the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. We're going to run it. We're going to try to get Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords to end the Arab-Israeli conflict in 2026. And if Iran continues to attack Israel and Lebanon, the new policy will be we'll hit Iran. So to the Iranians, if you're listening, when you use Hezbollah to attack Israel, I think the new policy will be we will attack Iran.
Let's get to that in a minute. And anything else you'd like to say in reaction to our great friend Lars Larson? Kevin Miller, you're listening to 580 KIDO. I can't thank you enough for all of the outstanding, nice comments that we received over the weekend during our weekend tour of Boise Music Festival tickets and Walmart and Swire Coca-Cola, and just really thank everyone who stopped by and won tickets or really basically just talked about the program. And there was one man and his wife, beautiful wife, and a friend. And we were at the 10 Mile Walmart yesterday, and he's the Hat Man. And I hope the Hat Man's listening. And he said, I listen to you, nothing but you. I go, oh, man, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll try to live up to that. And, people talking about Clay and Buck. And then one lady goes, well, I listen to you, but I listen to the Christians. And then I'm back to you and the Christians. And then Sean's driving me crazy. Well, but I still listen. I said, well, thank you. That's how you can support local talk radio, is by listening. We really appreciate that. We understand you have a lot of choices, both on the dial and, let's see, on the internet and everything else. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of the over 100 years of local broadcasting not only in Boise, but in the state of Idaho. This station, the first radio station, the first media station in Idaho. That is our legacy, and we do our very best to protect the mantle and to continue the mantle so that it is stronger to give to our successors, which is what everybody tries to do, right? But I do want to thank everyone for just incredible positive feedback. Thank you. We are giving away tickets to the Boise Music Festival, but it's the week of, so you got to come on the air and you got to go 580-KIDO. And like I said, if other people start doing this, you know where they got the idea. But with respect, 580-KIDO. We would love for you to win tickets to the music festival. And like I said, just a remarkable weekend. Another note of encouragement, we're down 124. I just got my lab results back from Dr. Lyle at Peak Health, Idaho. And I'm just like you. I am totally just like you. It's Friday morning. I think, that video is available at Kevin Miller Show and Fat to Back, where I detail the stress test at Peak Health, Idaho. And I tell you, we did that High Desert Harley, High Desert Harley. That's Sunday. I'm all over the place. But when you get the test results, the blood work, I totally, hopefully am reflecting what you go through. We're told to take care of our health, and then we've got to get the blood work. And then we've got to do a stress test. And then we've got to, all of a sudden, we lose control of our lives. I will tell you that's why we're documenting. And look, I might not make it, but I know I'm not going to make it because Dr. Lyle failed, or Sean failed, or Beverly failed at peakhealthidaho.com. I tell you, I did this VO2 max. I did one of those before in Salt Lake City, and it scared the heck out of me. This one was great, and we have that all documented, and I will be releasing that video. I tell you, it's very powerful. I'm down 124, but I'm just beginning, and we're going to document these last few measures. So I urge you to take care of yourself, and I understand being uncomfortable. I really understand it because I just went through it. But you're going to be better on the other side. We need you now more than ever. Phone number's here, 580-KIDO. Back to what Lindsey Graham had to say. And Lindsey fired up. He was on Face the Nation, not to be confused with Meet the Press.
Let's try a diplomatic solution. I think it's going to fail. What happens next? I spent 4.5 hours with President Trump Friday. Here's what I think will happen next. If this deal fails, President Trump is going to take the Strait of Hormuz over by force. The United States will control the Strait of Hormuz. We'll charge a fee for all those who go through to pay for the operation. And we're going to expand the Abraham Accords in calendar year 2026. We're going to get Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords, and which is the biggest change in 5,000 years in the Mideast. And if Iran contests control of the Strait of Hormuz by the United States, we will obliterate them. So to all the people listening, if this diplomatic effort fails, President Trump is going to take the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. We're going to run it. We're going to try to get Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords to end the Arab-Israeli conflict in 2026. And if Iran continues to attack Israel and Lebanon, the new policy will be we'll hit Iran. So to the Iranians, if you're listening, when you use Hezbollah to attack Israel, I think the new policy will be we will attack Iran.
Why is the national media not reflecting what Lindsey Graham said? Why are they talking about the reflective pool? Why are they talking about silliness?
Abraham Accords to end the Arab-Israeli conflict in 2026. And if Iran continues to attack Israel and Lebanon, the new policy will be we'll hit Iran. So to the Iranians, if you're listening, when you use Hezbollah to attack Israel, I think the new policy will be we will attack Iran.
Wow. More on that in a minute. Let's go to our 580-KIDO phone lines, and we have a contestant. Ba-da-da-da-da, It is Sandra. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm living the dream. So here we are. You want tickets to the Boise Music Festival, young lady. Is that correct?
Yes, I heard you're giving them away.
Yes. Now, who would you like to see?
We're excited for Marshmallow.
Oh, yeah. Do you know anything about that guy?
He wears a big marshmallow on his head.
Yes, he does. He's a marshmallow. So, to win that family 4-pack, do you know what you have to do?
No.
Okay, so you're on the radio right now, live at 580-KIDO. So what you have to do is you have to say 580-KIDO for 10 seconds. And you've got to say that at least for 5 or 6 of them. You got to get in. And really, you could say it if you really sell it like 580-KIDO. I know it's ridiculous, but you're going to see Marshmallow for free with 3 other of your friends or family members. So I'm going to count you down. Now, are you comfortable with this, Sandra?
I'm excited.
Okay. My girl. Okay, so here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go, go, go.
580-KIDO. 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 580-KIDO.
Okay, how about one more time and really scream it.
580-KIDO.
Oh, congratulations. Outstanding.
Woo!
Outstanding. Woo! Now, was that the easiest way to win 4 tickets to see Marshmallow?
Yes, I thought you were going to ask me a hurt question.
Oh, no. No. Sandra, congratulations. You're going to the Boise Music Festival.
Yeah.
Okay, please hang on.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. You hang on, please. Okay? Okay. We're going to send her. By the way, Scotty won in the morning, but he said KIDO 580, but Sandra just kicked it out of the park. Great job. 580 KIDO traffic. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Rock Bottoms to the River Bottoms, or whatever it's called. Great book. And love Don from the Rescue Mission. And really hope that you can go and support him by buying the book. $1 of the proceeds go to support veterans and folks at the Boise Rescue Mission. Like I said, it's funny. I'm one of these people. I collect books. And you want to talk about depreciation. When they're saying depreciation, there's depreciation with cars, depreciation with houses, although probably not in Idaho. The funny thing about this is books depreciate. You know, you buy a book for $20 and it's worth $1. Anyway, not Don's. From River Bottoms to Rock Bottoms and back, a veteran's memoir of addiction, accountability, and revitalization. Thank you, Don, for that. But I did purchase it on Amazon. Very easy. And Don Lineberry, I believe is how you pronounce Don's last name. And Roll Tide Roll. Don, excellent book. Great job. We are rolling. And despite what the media says, there is some good news coming out of Iran or Switzerland. And maybe it's the same old, same old. I love the Lindsey Graham quote. I can't play it enough because we have the media that is focused in on the reflecting pool. They're never going to give us a lot of credit. They're never going to give us any type of effort for this. But basically, Lindsey Graham says, hey, I think this deal is going to fail. But when it does, boom, 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 time to shake the room. Think about that. So I believe they've agreed to have the IEA come in. So the IEA will be coming in, and that's a start. But we want the Americans. We want the Americans to check everything and get it going. And your comments are welcome. I could play the Lindsey Graham clip again. You might be tired of it. You can join Sandra, who just won tickets to the music festival by just doing what she did, calling in and saying 580-KIDO. However, what about canceling? Let's get non-political for a moment. What about canceling student loan debt? What about, shouldn't we just give everybody a break that went to college? I mean, what if you didn't go to college? Well, then you're going to pay for it. I was talking to a great guy. He and his wife moved here from Twin Falls. They lived in California, came back, raised a great family. And we were talking about the unaffordability in Idaho and the taxes that keep going up and up and up. And when you're at a Walmart, like I said, you get a totally incredible vibe of what people think. And if you ever want to do a focus group, I would do it at people at Walmart on Saturdays or Sundays. And I was talking to this guy, nice man, listens to the program. Like I said, he and his wife were telling me about going to class reunions. I think I just missed my 40th. But just about how the state has changed. And here we have property taxes being raised all the time. People want to give the mayor an atta-girl for lowering her tax hike from 4% to, 2% or 2.5%? And he was talking about, the cost of things. And then I had another kid saying, the people from California have ruined it for me because the housing prices are just, I can't buy a house. And tomorrow Dave Petzel will say it's the circle of life. We've all been through that. But what about student loan debt? And the point I'm trying to make is I think in some states you get a break after 65. You don't have to pay property taxes if you're, been in your house for so many years. Why not do that here? Oh, because people over 65 make a lot of money. We're going to tax them. But people over 65 don't have kids in schools. They already paid for it, which was the point the gentleman made to me. With that in mind, what about student loan debt? Is it time to cancel student loan debt?
On Iran, we could have...
Here is a guy that's going to be running for president. His name is Ro Khanna. He's a congressman from California.
Not canceling student loan debt, because a lot of people say, and I would agree with this, it sort of helps the better off people. I mean, the person who doesn't go to college is now going to subsidize the person who's going to make a lot more money because they did go to college. It doesn't seem actually like a progressive thing to do.
I took out a lot of student loans. I've done well. They shouldn't forgive student loans for people like me. But if you're working class, you're first in your family to go to college, you have all this debt, and then you're paying off your debt until you're 50 or 60 and can't get a house, we can pay off that debt. And you know how we pay for it? Tax Elon Musk. Tax the billionaires. You're not taxing the blue-collar guys. Here's Bill what obsessed me. Think of, I represent 1/3 of this nation's wealth. In a 50-mile radius, $20 trillion.
Is that right?
1/3 of the nation's wealth is in my 50-mile radius. The stock market is 70 trillion, 20 trillion. We're producing more wealth than ever before. And you're telling me we can't have health care and free college for Americans? If Americans, when I go out and I speak and I say Elon Musk has become a trillionaire, usually people just boo. And I was like, why is that? Why aren't they cheering?
So before we get lost in the minutia, a lot of people are criticizing the Idaho launch program because essentially we're giving away free education for people that are going to make a significant amount of money. Now, if you're a poor person and this is your opportunity, so be it. And it proves my point, we've become a socialist nation. We truly have become a socialist nation because we are subsidizing education, we're subsidizing business. We've become a nation seeking entitlement, not driven by initiative. And in doing that, have we not hurt ourselves? I understand a social safety net for those that need it. Student loan debt, you want to solve student loan debt? Cap the interest rate. Cap the interest rate. Because the compounding interest just kills people. And really, like they're supposed to do with the gambling, and we want to keep gambling out of Idaho because it's horrible, it's stupid, it's detrimental. What's the problem with gambling? Talk about the people that have been addicted to gambling and how it's taken over the sports industry and how you don't know if games are legit now because of gambling. But you want to talk about student loan debt and how to solve it, cap the interest rate. Have a disclaimer like they are supposedly doing for the gambling sites. You can get this money, but 30 or 40 years from now, you still have to pay this money. Now, maybe you're an achiever. Maybe you're a bright person. Maybe you're going to make the right not make the right choices as a young person, unlike yours truly. And you're going to take that gamble because young people have this thing called time, which makes them invulnerable. But eventually, time catches up to you. See Kobe Bryant, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and LeBron, I don't know his middle name, James. Time catches up with all of us. Repeat after me. You know I'm going to it. Father Time is unbeaten. And so you can go to the University of Nebraska. You can go to the University of Alabama. You can go to USC, but it's going to cost you a ton of money. And 6 months after you graduate, you're not going to be making a lot of money, but you start to pay. You want real reform? Take a look at that and how much money is being made by whoever gives these loans out, whether it's the government or not, in the interest payments. It really is, again, something non-political. And maybe that's why the independence vibe is growing so much. Here's a couple non-political stories. It goes against the big money interests that fund the Democrats and the Republicans, but reform student loan programs. And after so many years and after so many payments, take a look at, after 60, reduce the interest payments if people are still paying in their 60s. Yeah, hold people accountable, but do it in a way that's smart. Remember President Trump was talking about he was going to reduce credit card loans. You want to do something really smart? How about 10% interest? How about 5% interest? Because do you really need to make all that money? Now, here I sound like a socialist, but you want to really give a boost to the American economy since we buy everything on credit now? 25% interest rate, and if you're good, 20%? Are you kidding me? How about 15? How about 10? If I were, maybe the defaults are so great you can't fund it, but if I were starting a credit card company, I'd undercut all of them. Well, you can't do that. Who says? I'd get the Saudis to fund me. Why not? But instead, we have this guy, instead of solving the problem, what do the loons do? They vilify the people that are successful. And by the way, with all due respect to Elon Musk, he's got a lot of government contracts.
Because they aren't getting anything out of it.
But the politics, though, are risky. It's one thing to expand community college access, make that free, perhaps make, some state universities free. But what Bill's talking about is the politics of telling a blue-collar guy, hey, your taxpayer dollars are going to forgive some college smartass. He's not paying his loans back. He's like, well, how is that helping me, man?
Yeah, because
it's so risky.
Because that's the Republican frame. What we got to tell you is the billionaires have screwed you and they've screwed the college kid. Get the college kids' loans forgiven and put a Marshall Plan in America to build you industry.
But Democrats already have a challenge with working class voters that is killing your party.
Because we did NAFTA, because we did China and the World Trade Organization, because we watched places like Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I grew up, Fairless Work shut down, steel plant shut down.
Yeah, who shut them down? Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, the Republican Congress. Who shut him down? That was the libs that did that. I still remember, and what I love about Lars is Lars and I have been around. We love politics. This is what we do. We love radio. I remember the Obama years. I remember, Jeffrey Elliott, the guy at GE, bragging how you and I pay more in taxes than GE because they just sent Westinghouse to China. Remember that? Regardless of Donald Trump this and President Trump that, he really has brought America back. And what they fear is this program start kicking in. And despite the propaganda, people are going to be moved all of a sudden going, yeah, he's right. It is working. I do have a job. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO.
Which has accomplished 4 things for the American people. First, we wanted to build a mechanism for keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. It is open. We've seen, of course, gas prices and oil prices come down, millions and millions of barrels of crude and natural gas flowing through the Strait of Hormuz that weren't flowing before. But we also wanted to make sure that we actually set up the coordination mechanism so that we could demine the Straits of Hormuz, so that when there are the conflicts that inevitably come up, we can make sure we work through them them rather than that leading to escalation, and that is exactly what we did yesterday. Number two, we also wanted to build a mechanism, a similar mechanism.
There we have it, the vice president. You're not going to hear that because everybody's saying, oh, it's bad, it's this, it's that. Really? Sounds like the good news is happening. Now, if you watch Drudge or anything else, people are going, oh, it's, the strait's closed. Is it or isn't it? Is it or isn't it? Think about what a threat the president has been. He has, he has taken down the Republican Party establishment. He has taken down the Democratic Party establishment, the woke establishment, all these other people. And of course, now we are the end of the beginning of the end. And they focus in on the algae. We have this ridiculous person dressed up as a pink tiger, I believe. Now, it takes a lot. And maybe this person is spry. Maybe this person will not be going to the Boise Music Festival. Imagine what it takes. Have you ever been to a rally or a protest? It takes some guts. It takes some cojones. Maybe not. Maybe you watch, what is it, the Studio 6B people? No, it's funny. When my parents are here, I always learn about all these online streaming people. And I've been doing that for 31 years. We're all in this together, but I'm learning they're rallying and everything else. Maybe you're like those guys, the 6B, the Real America's Voice. I know Captain Harry loves them. The War Room. So maybe you've been a mascot, maybe you haven't, but imagine what it would be like that you are so filled with disgust and hate. You're not going to celebrate America. You dress up as a pink tiger with Antifa on the back of it, I believe. And you have a sign next to the National Guard people with Team Algae. Now, do you think that this person has things in the right perspective? Do you think that they have? Do you think they really have their priorities in the right order? Hold that thought. Let's get you to work safely and on time. 580 KIDO traffic. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Kevin. From the Pacific Steel and Recycling Studio, traffic on the freeways. You're coming out of Canyon County into Ada County. We're looking good on the freeway now. As you exit the freeway at Eagle Road, you do have an accident working right now. So watch for that as police and paramedics working that one. Now's a perfect time to save money and get the annual maintenance done on your AC. Perfect Plumbing, Heating, and Air will tune up your AC for $29. Call Perfect or schedule online at callperfectnow.com. That's your traffic now on KIDO.
More coming up. Coming up next hour, the Boise mayor becomes an influencer. We've got that story for you on our website. Not only is she painting curbs, she's opening up restaurants and talking about bird windows. Yes, we'll talk about that. A mayor or an influencer. Plus, we vow to save America and pass the Save America Act. All that before Clay and Buck. Stay with us. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. Good morning. KIDO. We have, I love this. And before we get to Jonathan Savage Bo, I guess you'll either text me or whisper in my ear whether he shows up or not. He's probably too busy celebrating the World Cup. However, this is an example of how people are so attached to you and to me. From a person named Tater. K. Millie, why does one of your recent Miller's Minutes ads seem to state or at least imply that the Boise Music Festival is free? Y'all have been running. Anybody that uses y'all has a great place in my heart. Y'all have been running ads approximately every 16 minutes for the last 6 months. It's nauseating. I immediately switched stations trying to sell tickets to the world-class event. Read washed up bands, abomination. How is it free? I get that you're touting that your station provides free tickets, but it obviously presumes that others are paying. You always say that you're about the truth, but you are being deceptive, intentionally or no. Long die the BMF. Tater. Well, Tater, there are free tickets. I was at Walmart's over the weekend giving away free tickets. Not like Mr. Savage running around with his World Cup going, Targan, or the Targan Army, or the Targi Army, or whatever. But we're going to get back to that in a minute. Jonathan Savage joins us now, the Savage Nation, on 580 KIDO, live from London. What up, G?
Hey, how are y'all?
You know, you sound a little discombobulated, sir. You sound like you're not on your game, and we don't like that here, buddy.
Oh, well, I am on my game. I like to think I'm on my game. I have plenty of practice, and I've just been out for a little walk in the heat of the summer just to get myself. I had to be ready for you, so I cleared my agenda. I went out of the building. I went for a good walk in the sun, took some deep breaths, coughed because it's London, and here I am, ready for you.
You're ready. Well, first of all, your propaganda indoctrination continues to resonate because we have World Cup mania going crazy. Have you had the fear of missing out that you didn't hawk your entire life savings to come over here and to eat rotisserie chicken?
You know what? Every so often, I say that like every day, I just sort of have a little look at the flight websites, the searches, just to see, how much would it cost for me to fly to Miami tonight? Or to Mexico City next Wednesday on the off chance that Scotland have a game there next week. So the FOMO is real. Unfortunately, the sort of financial constraints are also all too real.
Well, but, you get what you pay for. You have all these people coming to America going, look, it's Taco Bell. Are you people really that deprived over there in the old country?
We do have Taco Bells here. We have a lot of the same fast food joints and a few more. But there are some burger joints that we don't have. I think the sort of regional ones in the U.S., like In-N-Out, we don't have that over here. And I'm a bit surprised to see everyone going crazy for the food. I mean, in some areas, I get it. In Boston, you want to try the seafood, right? It's a special experience. But people going crazy about Taco Bell, this seems performative to me.
You're right. And then we have the media, not you, but others going, tell us, Freddie from Germany. Oh, Freddie, we love you. But before we get to that, before we start bagging on everybody, so your prime minister decides to run away. Are you down with that? Are you okay with that?
It is what it is. Look, we're going to have a seventh prime minister in about 10 years, and that is not normal for a functioning country, and I think everyone is quite aware of that. The UK is becoming one of the countries that we used to take the mickey of for changing their leader every 5 minutes, and there's reason the question: is the United Kingdom ungovernable? Is it because the politics is bad? Is it because the people are impatient? Is it because everybody wants to be prime minister and they can't stop plotting to oust the one who's in power at the moment? Or is it simply because we're too fractured and we just can't get a consensus on anything? One way or another, it doesn't seem healthy for a democracy. And for not the first time, for at least the third or fourth time I can think of in the last 10 years, we're changing prime minister outside an election. Whoever is the next prime minister will not have won an election. They will not be coming in with that kind of mandate. And people are questioning whether that's good for democracy too.
4 and 3 and 2 and 1. When I'm on the mic, the suckers run. However, let's get back to World Cup. Actually, before we get to that, do you know who those lyrics were from? Do you know that? Who
no, I
they're
don't.
from there, buddy?
I don't. I mean, I don't. It sounds like some sort of territory wrestling promo, but
that'd be the Beastie Boys. You ever heard of them? I
have heard of the Beastie Boys. Yes.
Jonathan Savage joining us at 580 KIDO. By the way, you're still invited. Bring your children. They love marshmallow. I will go to the almighty executives of the Godless Corporation and get you VIP access. Now, I don't think Mr. Mello is going to, hang out with the people, but you'll get up close. You can fly into Boise International, then you can go to the World Cup, and you can say that you were with Kevin Miller and Marshmallow this weekend. One more time, we invite you to step up. Are you going to take that challenge? Will you come to Idaho to see Mr. Mello?
Is it Saturday? What day is it?
It is Saturday, June 27th. Gates open at 10 in beautiful Garden City, and we go all night long. All night long. And even for me with my Metamucil, we're going all night long.
I mean, the website I look at is just giving me a quick quote from a Friday to Sunday trip to Boise with a stopover is at Denver. It's a cool £1,300 return. That's a bargain, isn't it, for the experience I would have?
And we'll put you up in the Ramada, if we have a Ramada.
Oh, you don't spare any expense, do you? You know how to treat your guests.
We'll put you up in the Ramada, if we have a Ramada, or Days Inn. Days Inn can't be Best Western. They're the best ever.
Yeah, I may not have a buffet breakfast, but I hear it's got a vending machine.
You know, Mountsville and all your other pretend friends would never, ever offer you this opportunity, sir.
Why do you think that is?
Because they are not your real friends. They do not understand the potato pledge. They don't get it.
No. Oh, eyes to the front. Love it.
Anything else you'd like to share? Do you want to give us some more World Cup propaganda, sir?
The war for propaganda, yeah, of course, always. I mean, the Scots, the Tartan Army, are moving from Boston down to Miami right now. They are probably they are moving. They've drunk Boston dry. They're going to drink American Airlines dry, no doubt, on their way down. And then Miami, which has a reputation for being a party town, is going to be changed forever in the next 24, 48 hours. The Scots and the Brazilians in the same city.
Oh, boy. My. You talk about passion, and I did an article over the weekend about the prices in Seattle. I think the Canadians have the highest prices, but it's like $13.49 for a soft pretzel in Seattle.
Oh, come on, you want a hard pretzel for that kind of money?
And for an international, or I'd like to say a foreign beer, it is almost $20.
Ted Turner didn't get you, did he? Calling it a foreign beer, not an international beer.
My man, hold on, my man Ted. Hold on, I love that. I love the reference to CNN. Yes, I like to bring back the word foreign a lot. So yes, foreign beer or craft beer is $18.49 or $18.99. American, it's $17.99. So a Bud is going to be a little cheaper.
That's bonkers. That is bonkers. I mean, look, that's the kind of. I thought I was paying a lot for beer here, at like $10 or something in the pub. We need to go back to the 90s when things were it was affordable.
We need to go back to the real time, the 80s, the greatest time in American history. However, in world history, for that matter, Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan, Kevin Miller, the Big Three. Sadly, only one of us is left from that beautiful Big Three. However, when we're taking a look at what do these people do that they can take time off to stay here? Some of them, I guess, are going to stay for a month. Maybe they can work remotely. But, I mean, have you ever thought about that? Like your beloved Scots, what do they do besides Drew McIntyre? I mean, this is a lot. Are they going in debt for 5 or 10 years, not buying a house, not buying a car, so they can just hang out here and drink and eat? That costs money.
I assume so. I'm wondering this myself. I mean, there are people probably who are choosing not to get married for a few years and leaving their fiancé jilted. But they get probably 25 days annual leave. So there's that. But even then, it's a lot of money, especially if they're paying $20 for an international ale.
Well, foreign ale, yes, or craft beer, whatever. Any final thought? Otherwise, this will become the Jonathan Savage Show, which I don't have a problem with, but the Godless Corporation wants me to earn my monty. Anything else that you could share with us if you'd like, sir?
Absolutely nothing. I'm done. I'm all out. I've spent all my banter has been drained from me in the last 10 minutes.
You're like Luger in '89. You're done. You're finished. Jonathan Savage, and I'll share some of those classics with you on Twitter. I'll always appreciate you.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Have a good day.
There we have it. Our great friend Jonathan Savage, brought to you by you. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. We begin with Concern. Good morning, Concern. You're on 580 KIDO. Hello, Concern.
Good morning, Kevin. Yeah, I want to go back a little bit to what you're talking about, the student loans, paying them off. This seems like the mindset of a Democrat, is what can I get for free? I don't want to have to work for it. I need free handouts. And they always got to have someone to point a finger at and blame. The one gentleman you were talking about that was running for some office or whatever that was talking about, socialism and paying off the student loans. I mean, I worked at a university for a while, and I saw what was going on. A lot of people got 2 or 3 doctorates and stuff like that, but they never got a job. They continue to live off of student loans and things of that nature. And then they want us to pay them off. It's like, if you went to college and you spent the money to get an education, you should have a job to pay that off, eventually. And granted, it's expensive. But why is it so expensive? Because the university is the problem. They're charging kids way too much for an education and not, monitoring it. And it's easy to blame, Elon Musk and, sit there and say, well, he's a trillionaire, but they never want to look at the universities, how much money they're making, and the cost of education, what it's costing. The money is being made by the universities. They got so much money. It's incredible. But we don't want to blame them, nor do we want to blame George Soros for the money he has, or any other BlackRock or any of the people. We just need someone to point our finger at and blame. And this is the Democratic game. It's somebody else's fault for the position I'm in. And the conservative kind of goes, here's an opportunity to better yourself. But the Democrats work on free. And we've done this for so long that we have these people that are just looking for a way to get something from the government instead of doing it, because we've continued to feed them, whatever they need. And they never know how to do it themselves, and this is a problem that whole nation's running into. It's what can I get from the government and not what can I contribute to the government. And it goes back to the Kennedy saying. But we've done it for so long that we sensitized the whole entire nation of going, what can I get? And the Democrats know this game, and they play it all the time. So we're going to give them something. We're going to give them free phones. We're going to give them this. We're going to pay off the student loans over and over again. And instead of giving opportunities for people to better themselves. And that's just the way I see it there. But
let's dovetail on that with the Hate America crowd, where people are talking about Thomas Jefferson, and it's not the great liberator. It's his, unfortunate relationship and what he did personally. And, that Washington owned slaves and all that. We judge people, unfortunately, through ignorance with the morals of our time, through, our lens, through, what was normal then. And obviously, the beauty of America, concern, as you're pointing out, is that we recognized our flaws. The danger is, are we going to do that fiscally when we're talking about the universities ripping people off?
Right. It's like I said, they point the finger real quick to somebody, but they don't really consider the whole situation of what's going on. It's kind of like the credit. We got so much credit since the 70s. People were credit broke. And why? And what happens to the money if you default? Who covers that? It's got to be the government, because I can't see a bank taking a giant risk on somebody and giving them a loan and turning around and losing somehow. It's not a single person. It's not an Elon Musk. It's not that. It's everything. They just they want to look at it, but they need someone to blame. They need someone to point their finger at, like Scarface, They just need someone to point their finger at so they can blame their situation on it instead of doing something to change themselves. But it's sad that they just pick somebody out, and the Democrats buy it, over and over again. And the universities are just making bank over and over again. And that's the problem. We need to lower the cost of education. It shouldn't, you should have a simpler education, just like a 4-year degree and learning something that's a decent. But if you want to go into a higher thing, then it's going to cost, and you're going to have to get a job to pay that back. You got to think about it. You can't just go to college, and never get a job, and then complain because you got student loans. Well, how did you live up to that point? And it's just the Democrats continue to give. And like I said, a lot of the people, if not half or majority, are sitting there leaning that way. What can I get paid off? I saw it when Biden wanted to pay off student loans. I saw, conservative kids going, well, I think I'll just go that route because they're going to pay off my loan. And it's like, you give so easy. We give in so easy to that the free handouts. But I just wanted to add that, it's not Elon Musk, it's BlackRock, it's the universities, it's just everybody, and break it down instead of pointing a finger at one individual and seeing what they did. Elon Musk, he did his thing, and don't be coveting that. He doesn't have to be the best person in the world, but he's doing it, and it's not his fault that I'm in a situation I'm at. We all have the same opportunity. That's why what makes America great is because we all have the same opportunity. But God bless your show, and God bless this country for sure, and keep it on the path. And people just need to earn what their freedom is given them. Go out and earn it. The world owes you a living. You just have to go out and earn it. So thank you, Kevin, for your show, and God bless.
God bless our great friend Concern. Let's continue on, and we go to Dylan, who joins us now at 580 KIDO. Dylan from the Great Idaho Show, greatidahoshow.com.
Kevin, wow, let's pay those student loans back. The history problem that's transpiring here, nobody seems to remember what happened to Britain when they lost the sterling pound. And in America, socialism is funded by one single thing. It is called the petrodollar. Without the petrodollar, we are doomed because socialism gobbles up every dollar that was ever made and then some. And interestingly, the petrodollar is oil, and we hold the currency. So how can we be quote unquote socialists and want to go and allow Venezuela, Iran, and the BRICS creation of the petrolon try to work against us out of country? You'd think that they would be stoked about taking control of the Strait of Hormuz and keeping their little bloodlust for money.
Wow. That's harsh.
But it's true, right? I don't think anybody realizes, or they have forgotten, that Britain was on rations till like 1954. Britain was in shambles. And then they continued down the socialist path. They have never recovered from the loss of the sterling pound. And you look at it today, it's melting down. It sounds just really neat, but the only thing that fuels anything that happens here in America is capitalism. And, maybe our great economist Tea Party Bob can elaborate on that, but God bless the petrodollar, because without that, we would be trash out our windows, ration food, and in the forms of socialism that boil down to our daily needs, not just our little mental wishes.
Dylan, anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, listen every day. Kevin Miller, 580 KIDO. Thanks, my brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We go to Chandler, who joins us now with Kevin Miller at 580 KIDO. Hello, Chandler.
Hey, Kev, good morning. So you should also throw out Jonathan Savage. I mean, if he came to town, would you or would you not maybe try and throw out a cage match with Idaho Fight Club for a charity or something like that, too?
I would need probably Tea Party Bob to be my guy. I've retired from physical combat, Chandler. I leave that for the more athletic folks like you and TPB.
Oh, so you'd be like the Jimmy Hart, the guy
I'd be more like I would be like the guy holding the championship belt, and I'd put the boots to him. Once my boys got him down, we put the boots to him. He wouldn't know what to do.
Oh, so you're Bobby the Brain Hernan, right?
I suppose, although I still have that yearning to be the classic, the late 80s Ric Flair, which will live iconically in my life as the greatest ever. But anyway, what can we do for you, young man?
So you don't sound like a socialist to me. You sound like a home plate umpire. When to call balls, when to call strikes, and when you think there's some funny business going on, you take a trip out to the mound and make sure that the pitcher is not scuffing up the ball and that the bats aren't corked, and you're willing to throw a guy out of the game. And really, that's what we got to do. I mean, I listen to the program. I like it. I like what people have to say. I see a lot of bitching. I don't hear a lot of solutions. and I don't hear a lot of action. Good, bad, or indifferent, the Democrats have a plan. They have an agenda. They're moving towards things. I mean, go back to the 90s. Part of it was, the yuck conservatives like, oh, that's a crazy idea. Yuck. Let's just laugh, react, and do nothing. Judges, we got the judges that'll stop it. Well, the Democrats figured out that was the stopping point. So what do? The judiciary has been totally transformed. So now most people, even in our own state of Idaho, with the bathroom bill, if you, and our great senators, fantastic job not stopping the Obama era or Biden era judge, right here in the rest of the red, we can't even get judicial relief that's sane because you dropped the ball. I mean, these idiots, like, why are we giving, $40 million a week to the Taliban? Like, really? And chair of the Foreign Relations Committee is an Idaho guy. Like, if it was abortion, $40 million going against abortion in Botswana or Papua New Guinea, the Democrats would be screaming, yelling, bitching. They would do everything in their power to realize this is insane and it's got to stop. And the Republicans sit there like a bunch of grandpas in a rocking chair being like, we're back in my day, and doing nothing. They're completely ineffective. And so if we want to matter, we want to do stuff, come up with solutions. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to do something. And for the presidential race, my money's on Ossoff. John Ossoff out of Georgia. I was down there, working at Fort Stewart. I saw a lot of ads.
Now, hold on. You're not allowed to say what you're doing because the FBI called you the last time you said you were involved in your job. So Chandler is not
the analysis.
Well, hold on. So that was real. The FBI was it the FBI that contacted you? Yeah.
I got a call from somebody said a man behind the guy needed to talk to you. Is the guy behind the guy, So
people listen to this program.
They do. You're big, man. Just like Obama took you out, man. I think you're the last holdout. Deep behind enemy lines here in Idaho. So your show is super important and you give people voices. And John Ossoff, man, I don't. Nobody's put money on him. I saw a lot of primary ads in Georgia, and they're strong. Like he talks about the working class versus the Epstein class, affordability issues, everything. And this Graham Platter guy, you want to focus on the Nazi tattoo? Well, for the people that are struggling, that are looking for hope and change, that want something done, the Nazi tattoo is not an answer. Okay, it's not a plan, it's not a solution. And that's what really matters. Like, can we please come up with some solutions?
Sure. Can I push back on you for a moment?
Yeah.
I've been to Georgia in years, but I used to live there as a kid, did my show from Fort Benning there a few times. I have a lot of respect for the people in Georgia. And Ossoff and Warner would never have been elected if the president didn't declare war on the Georgia Republican Party and Brian Kemp. There's a brilliant piece written in Politico about how the president was going to try to take out Brian Kemp, the now departing governor, and that didn't happen. But Ossoff has to unite the black vote because without Atlanta, he's going nowhere. I got to believe, and maybe people in Georgia are blanked off and are hurting. I just believe in the Georgia GOP that has taken a couple of hits by having two senators that are, the loons. So I got to believe that Ossoff doesn't make it. But you've been on the ground and you say, and he's got a ton of money, but you're saying he's the deal.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm saying his messaging is spot on. I think his messaging is spot on. His campaign ads. Like I said, most people are not like you and I. They're getting these messages, they're seeing things, and he is pretty effective. And let's just say that he wins, which I think is going to happen for sure because he's an incumbent. And let's just say he wins convincingly. So you have a man in formerly reddish state, trending blue, maybe purple. He won a large urban metro area, Atlanta, with a huge black vote, which the Democrats have to hold on to. And there's a lot of Hispanics there now, too. And there's some, rural areas and white working class. So I think if you look at if he does, and I don't know why he won't, if he wins convincingly in Georgia, you look at the kind of voters that he had to pull in a state that's trending in the Democrats' direction, it sets them up to do well in all the border battleground states. Plus, the guy's not even on the radar. so they can lie their pants off about who he is. You know, he presents well, he looks good, nice talker, just like Obama. I think he's the dark horse guy. I think he's the guy that you haven't heard about, but he does well on election night. I think he's there. And to go back to the education thing, the problem I have with this whole education thing is, there's so many Republicans that like pretend like we're in a free market. We're not. We're a mixed economy. So you gotta act like it and rule like it. There's nothing stopping any business right now today to contract with the College of Western Idaho to set up whatever technical program you want to train your workers to do the job that you want to pay for, rather than being 18-year-olds and guessing. And it's a tax write-off right now. Like any training that any business does right now is a write-off. That's how it is. So the fact that not only did they get a write-off for the training that they should be able to know that you should have, and this is how it used to be. There used to be corporate learning centers and training centers. I had a kid in my neighborhood. His dad worked downtown Chicago, and he went to University of Chicago. They paid for his MBA. They're paying his salary.
Right.
They foot the bill, and that's how it was.
Right.
So why don't we go back to that? And where are the Republicans? Once again, you can all this stuff that they're talking about. Put the burden on.
Didn't they just have a state convention?
The Republicans, yes, they did.
How'd that work out?
I was not a voting member, so I did not attend. But
I'm sure they didn't get lost in the cult of personality. They focused on these real life issues. I'm sure they did.
The powers that be, the good old boys want to keep us stuck on
the good. Hold on, the good old boys or the good old girls. Hey, Chandler, thank you for the call. Kevin Miller on your home for Fox News. Say it with me, folks. 580 KIDO. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. It's interesting. Getting back, we had an email from Tater. We started the hour where he was saying that it's not free. It is free to go to the music festival. You just have to win tickets. Now, you can buy your tickets. You can do all sorts of things. But bottom line here is, if you work really hard, you can get tickets. As I've said before, all you have to do is go 580-KIDO, and we would love for you to go be our guests throughout the morning when we say, hey, call in and da-da-da-da-da. So, again, that's tickets to the Boise Music Festival. On our website, we've got some great stories. You won't believe how much you'll pay for a beer or a pretzel. Now, you might want to have a pretzel and a beer. I'm a pretzel guy, but a liter of water and a small water, it's just outrageous. You can read those stories and much, much more on our website at KIDOtalkradio.com. I was just about ready to start this segment without him. Here he is once again. It seems we start the program with Al and we end it with TPB. Good morning, Tea Party Bob on 580-KIDO.
Well, I'm not responsible for how your show runs. That's up to you, my friend. You know that.
Well, you are responsible for when you decide to grace us with your presence.
I call in just about the same time every day. I have to have some time to see what you're talking about, what interests me, and how I can be of any kind of a help to anyone out there with sometimes my good comments, sometimes my dumb comments. But anyway, I wanted to say something first about Lindsey Graham's comments about the peace deal failing. I've said it would last about 30 days and there would be a breach that could cause Trump to re-engage with the military. And this animosity and the chant death to America has been going on for 47 years. And until there's actual regime change, the problem is not going to be resolved. So while it looks like it's good for now, I'll bet money that we will eventually have to take over the safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, as the most radical groups of the IRGC are going to continue to cause problems in the shipping lanes. One of my pet peeves is what goes on with student loans, as I have 4 grandchildren who all had student loans. One has actually paid hers off, and it's quite a problem. And let me say, most of the kids who take out these loans have never been taught how to handle their finances in high school and don't understand if you create a debt, you will be responsible for paying it back. And when you offer money to thousands of these students from the government who don't really understand the concept of financial responsibility. The paying back what they borrowed creates the first problem, because our public education system doesn't teach them how to deal with a budget or how to manage money in today's world of easy credit. The second problem is the government is charging interest rates that, in my opinion, are onerous and usury. If the government's first and foremost objective is to have more of our children get a college education, they should offer loans at the same rates that they are paying to borrow money out in the open market. But that's not the case. The third problem is that when these kids graduate, they can't find jobs in the fields of study that pay enough to cover the student loan payback schedule. And the fourth problem is the onerous tuitions that our children have to pay to attend these colleges, which in many cases are a total ripoff. The coup d'etat is that these kids get out of college, they are offered credit cards by our great banking system, they run up credit card bills that they can't pay back because the banks are charging between 18 and 25% interest on the unpaid balance. And they wind up paying lots of interest but no principal. These are the kids who wind up in the money pit, which is why 1/3 of the kids today between the ages of 25 and 35 are still living at home with their parents. And in some cases, that number is as high as 50%, Kevin. So if you want to solve the problem, we need to give our children an education that teaches them
Yeah,
how
but
to
not only,
manage
but not only that, instead of, though, when all of a sudden you give away free tuition, I really love Bill Maher's comment. Hey, man, what about the people that don't go to college? Why should they subsidize that? But don't we have to reform the interest rates? Don't we have to reform all these things where, again, it's not a bait and switch, but it's almost, I don't know how you describe it, but once you get into it, it's very difficult to get out.
Absolutely. It's the eternal money trap. It's like quicksand. The more you borrow, the deeper you go. And it's really hard to get out of it unless you've got a good job. And Jen, let's think about the fact that over the last 20 years, we've gone to globalization and sent most of our good-paying jobs overseas. We don't manufacture a lot of things. That's what Trump's trying to bring back here. And, of course, when you let in 10 million illegals like Joe Biden did, many of those even lower-paying jobs, they're taken over by the illegals. Look what's happening here just in our own state, for crying out loud. It's a problem. It's a multitude of problems that have caused what we have today, which is the eternal money trap. And unfortunately, I don't know whether we have the wherewithal to get our kids out of this. When you have literally over $1 trillion in debt sitting out there, it's got to be resolved one way or the other, and I don't know how they're going to do it. Listen, we're $39 trillion in debt ourselves. We can't solve our own money problems, never mind the students that have borrowed this money. Big conundrum, my friend. And like I said, it doesn't seem like anyone except maybe Trump is trying to fix the problems. We're not trying to do it in our own state, because I don't see it happening here. Kevin, I thank you very much for my time. Yep.
Before you go, no, I'm with you on that. You know a lot about money and finances, right?
Well, I've had a few years' experience.
Right. They used to call you Big Money Bob on the Wall Street, I heard.
Not so sure about that.
So is it just, we talk about, and you've talked about this for years, but is our financial challenge or crisis as simple as Joe Biden gave us a lot of money and Donald Trump cut off our money, and we just lived high on the hog? Because it's fascinating and frustrating to me that we can go from, being the best ever to, the state might have a budgetary shortfall. The Ada County commissioners have to raise taxes to keep the lights on. We've got the mayor dancing in the Boise River. It just seems like a lack of accountability. The Meridian mayor is saying that with additional services, he's going to raise taxes. And I'm going, well, what are you guys doing besides being influencers if that's the way of the world? Help me understand
Kevin,
that.
do you live on a budget?
Yes.
I live on a budget. Why is it that we can't understand that we have to stop our crazy government officials from spending money willy-nilly, and they have to start living on a budget? Because you know as well as I do, in the last 7 years, the state of Idaho's budget has doubled to $14 billion and more. Nobody knows how to stop spending because we keep nobody's complaining about taxes, so they keep raising the taxes. Tell them you're not going to pay the taxes, and what are they going to do then?
Going to put you in jail.
The people need to act, and they need to put responsible people into our officers that are going to be our elected officials and are going to be running our states and our cities. Because right now, as far as I'm concerned, most of them are inadequate, and they don't know how to manage anything.
Did you say inadequate or impotent? There's a big difference.
No, I said
or maybe
inadequate.
There isn't.
I probably should have said impotent.
The Gem State Patriot for the real truth, gemstatepatriot.com. Thank you, sir.
Take care, my friend. Have a good day.
580 KIDO. And going back to our top clip of the day, has to be from Senator Lindsey Graham, who, again, the media is not going to break this down, but let's take a look one more time.
Solution. I think it's going to fail. What happens next? I spent 4.5 hours with President Trump Friday. Here's what I think will happen next. If this deal fails, President Trump is going to take the Strait of Hormuz over by force. The United States will control the Strait of Hormuz. We'll charge a fee for all those who go through to pay for the operation. And we're going to expand the Abraham Accords in calendar year 2026. We're going to get Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords, and which is the biggest change in 5,000 years in the Mideast. And if Iran contests control of the Strait of Hormuz by the United States, we will obliterate them. So to all the people listening, if this diplomatic effort fails, President Trump is going to take the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. We're going to run it. We're going to try to get Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords to end the Arab-Israeli conflict in 2026. And if Iran continues to attack Israel and Lebanon, the new policy will be we'll hit Iran. So to the Iranians, if you're listening, when you use Hezbollah to attack Israel, I think the new policy will be we will attack Iran.
That should be the bottom line right there. That should be the bottom line right there. By the way, do you love America? I love America. Apparently the Democrats, they don't love America.
Again, 56% overall have an extremely or very much proud of the country. It's 29% among Democrats. It's 90% among Republicans. Look at that staggering gap between the parties. Look at it on the other end here. Only a little or not proud at all. It's 36%. Among Democrats. That number among Democrats, it's higher on the low end there than it is on the extremely proud end, and it's only 3% for Republicans. So a massive partisan divide on that question of being proud to be an American.
Yeah, let me break this down for you. This is Steve Kondracki or Kondracula, whatever his name is. Breaking it down, how proud are you to be an American? And maybe we have to liberate the loons. Maybe we have to say it's okay to sing along with Lee Greenwood. It's okay to sing along with the commander. It's okay to sing along, but how proud are you to be an American? Overall, 56%, only 56% of people in America are proud to be an American. Only a little or not at all, 21%. Now, let's go to the loons. 29% of Democrats are proud to be an American. You should go up to the libs in Boise and go, are you proud to be an American? Are you one of that 29% there, bub? Little or not at all, 36%. Now, to the good guys. 90% Republican, 3% Democrat, extremely proud to be an American. Little at all, only 3%. Now, compare that to 36% or 29% of the loons. And then we talk about the changing dynamic. 65 plus, 75% are proud to be Americans because they've contributed and they love America. it falls to 36%, 18 to 34. Now, why is that? Are young people not patriotic? Are young people not proud to be Americans? Think of what they have to go through. And I don't mean to pander because everybody thinks that their generation is the best ever. We could call it a generational bias. But this poor generation has not had Ronald Reagan. They haven't even had George Bush, either George Bushes. What they've had is everybody banging on America. America is bad. America is this. America is horrible. And when you hear that all the time, no matter what, no matter where, no matter how, what do you get? You get people not loving America. And yet we have real-life action heroes that do love America, that are being elected, that are working, that are making a difference. Right? That's something to think about. And we have to, again, in this climate that we live in, some would say this dangerous climate where words have become weaponized and people, the old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones. No, words can hurt you today. Here we have, once again, I don't really want to invite people to Idaho that are loons, but why are more people leaving those blue states to come to ruby red Idaho? It's this lady.
Extreme heat kills more Americans every year than hurricanes, floods, and tornadoes combined. And we know because of climate change, it is only getting worse. The number of days above 90 degrees is projected to increase significantly in the years ahead.
I love it when they give these inflammatory, provocative statements and they don't back it up with facts. Here's a guy that says he's, the next big thing.
First, air conditioning is one of the best ways to keep cool.
Man, how did we get that? Mayor Mondami, how do we keep cool, sir?
Air conditioning is one of the best ways to keep cool.
No, Mayor Mondami, how about an ice bath? How about hanging out with the ice road truckers?
First, air conditioning is one of the best ways to keep cool.
Kids, this shows you even if you're not the brightest bulb, you could be mayor of New York City by just stating the obvious. Hey, thank you all for listening. Don't go anywhere. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this weekend. Good day. God bless. Kevin Miller loves you. And one more time, keep the faith.
There are two types of business owners, those who are busy and those who want to be busy. Toast is designed for both, with tools to keep you humming and help turn grind into growth. That's how you turn busy into business. Toast, built for busy.